Infowars.com is tomorrow's news today. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. The first annual Fake News Awards hosted by President Donald John Trump, the 45th President of the United States. And so I have cleared the decks for the next 4 hours of the broadcast. Paul Watson's joining us. But other than that, I have cleared the decks. We're going to have the folks in there taking your phone calls working very, very hard today because I pledge to you that we are going to take at least 100 of your phone calls and we are going to suss out the People's Choice Fake News Awards. The first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards. They created this term. Really, it was John Rappaport 20 years ago with his website, but the mainstream media put it out there, tried to call all of us that question known liars. They tried to say that we were the fake news, saying that Trump would win the election or saying that Russiagate was fake, on and on and on. But now we're going to have the People's Choice for the next 4+ hours right into the war room with Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone. I'm going to host with them as well today. So I'm going to just stay on air right through the war room, off and on 6 o'clock tonight. And we're going to take the president's first annual Fake News Awards live. But first, we're going to have the People's Fake News Awards. And it was the president said, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, we really should have a fake news award show. People ought to start doing that. We took the president's cue, great idea. We've done 4 or 5 of these just as little pieces where we, the talk show host, we, the reporters, we, the investigative journalists, we, the muckrakers, we, the firebrands, the rabble-rousers for 1776, we, the truth tellers, give you our view. And I've got some of my ideas, but we're going to collate these. We're going to tweet them out at Real Alex Jones. We're going to tweet them out at Prison Planet with Paul Watson. We're going to tweet it out at Dews News. We're going to tweet it out at David Knight. We're going to tweet it out at the War Room. We're going to tweet all of this out. We're going to tweet your nominations. Your nominations for the Fake News Awards People's Choice. And we're going to have the top 10. We're going to have the top 10 today. By the time the war room has started, and then we're going to go over those 10 on air, and we're going to judge, myself, Rob Dube, Owen Schroyer, Roger Stone, and other crew members. We're going to choose in order the top 10 from those 10, and the top 3 individuals, when you call in, we're going to get your name and number with your nomination. It's going to be a lot of work. You're going to win first prize, $2,000. Second prize, $1,000. Third prize, a set of steak knives. Seriously, just to make it fun and an ode to Glenn Leary, Glenn Ross. So that's coming up today. It is going to be an extravaganza. It snuck up on me 7 days ago. He moved it up, moved it back because he needed more time to get ready, obviously. Who could blame the president? There's just so many fake news stories to look at, so many things to suss out. But we're going to see, how does our fake news, People's Choice, track with the president's? Because he's already been working on this the last few weeks, and he's going to have this for us. They're in the yellow Oval Office. They're in the yellow Oval, as it's called, where he actually offices most of the time now. So he works 18 hours a day. He works in there about 4 or 5 hours in the morning, then goes into the main Oval Office, then goes back into the yellow Oval. And they're in his war room. And so we're going to try to track in our war room, in our InfoWar, the real top fake news here. I've already got some major contenders we're going to talk about on the other side of this break. I'm Alex Jones. Please stay with us and spread the live links. That it's the People's Choice Fake News Awards. All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting worldwide. And it is just an orgy of globalists falling apart and following on their disgusting snouts It is just amazing to see victory after 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 victory. America's back. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. That was our theme song for Hillary's fall and her destruction at the hands of the truth. And it is the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards today. I told you we were going to do this 7 days ago. So much has been happening, it snuck up on me. And I was sitting here getting ready for the show, looking at all the headlines. I went, wait a minute. I said we were going to have the People's Choice Fake News Awards. We've already beta tested it and kind of had some of the talk show hosts around here have done their own little talk show, Infowars Fake News Awards. But then it hit me 7 days ago when the president moved back his fake news extravaganza when he, the president, will pick who he believes are the top winners that get the Oscars of deception and fake news as we strike back against the globalists and their disinformation operations to their total horror. But then it hit me. We're going to have the People's Choice Fake News Awards. You're going to be able to call in. You're going to be able to tweet at Real Alex Jones. We're going to have Paul Watson riding shotgun with us. We're going to have Owen Schroyer. We're going to have Rob Dew. We're going to have Roger Stone. We're going to have everybody putting in their 2 cents on the top 10 fake news stories of 2017. The People's Choice. And then at 4 o'clock Central, in the middle of the war room, with myself, Owen Schroyer, and Roger Stone and others, this is Alex Jones right here live. This is Infowars Live. Doing this broadcast at this same time slot for 20 years now, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. that we've launched. The Real News of David Knight doing a great job in the morning at 8 a.m. And we've got the War Room with Owen and everybody at 3 o'clock Central. Our goal is to go at least 20 hours live a day by the end of 2018. So we're busy little beavers, as you can see. But if you go to Infowars.com, Deep State in panic tries to drop Fusion GPS out of the news as it becomes apparent that it is a total fake. Global survey finds nuclear war, cyber threats among top concerns. And the big one, conspiracy theorist. CNN refuses to believe bipartisan doctor of 4 presidents who said Trump is physically fit. 15 pounds overweight, has the heart of like a 40-year-old. He said that's what's really phenomenal. And that he had a perfect 30 out of 30 on the cognitive test. And if you don't pay absolute, total, focused attention on that particular lengthy test, they didn't give him a short one, you will lose a couple points. He got it perfect, which showed total, complete focus. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be breaking all of that down, but this is the day. It is here, ladies and gentlemen. It is unfolding. Now, I see an article on Infowars.com, and I'm not disagreeing with my great crew, but I don't oversee and honcho everything. And I remember Trump saying there ought to be fake news awards. And then I remember we did fake news awards, but I really think it's Trump's idea. That's November 27th, 2017. Then let's see when we first called for it. Not that it matters. I just see that on Infowars. And I'm like, huh? And there are the guys doing the fake news awards. Let's see when they did it. Let's see the date on that. Oh, that's a live feed right now. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. But it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be taking your phone calls here today. We're going to be hearing what your main nominations are for the worst, most out-of-control, egregious disinformation from mainstream media. And I really don't know what number one should be. Maybe the fake polls of 2017 that Trump was 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 points behind. CNN had some phone polls where Hillary was winning by 68%. And they were oversampling Democrats by 30+%. Remember that in their methodology. I think fake polls in 2017, right back into 16, I think the New York Times saying that Hillary Clinton had more than a 99% chance. Remember the New York Times? The New York Times said that she had a first 99% chance with her computer algorithm. By election day, it was 96%. There it is. Hillary has an 85% chance to win. On and on and on and on. And that was on election day. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But you're going to say, well, that's 2016. I think there's overlap here in the first annual 2017 fake news awards, because the fact that they claim she really won and that he stole the election when the evidence was she stole at least 6 states, according to Homeland Security, the state level. And they had millions of people voting in the names of dead people. That's all been confirmed by Harvard studies, worse than what the president said. It was fake news when they came out and said that the president was wrong, that no illegals and no dead people voted. Well, technically no dead people voted, but people voted on the voter rolls in the names of dead people. That's another big fake news story. What about General Flynn? General Flynn, a couple months ago, supposedly said, I'm a Russian agent. The Russians ran the campaign. And you had the video of The View, and everybody just in ecstasy. Joy Behar, just, ladies and gentlemen, we've got breaking news. Oh, my gosh. Flynn is going to testify. He wears a fur Russian hat. His mother was V.I. Lenin. Trump is born in Russia and is a secret KGB agent. And they admit that they lied to the FBI, and they're all going down. It's all over. Ladies and gentlemen, so that's in the running. And then it just goes on and on. 17 agencies unanimously have put on down that Donald Trump works for the Russians, and they hacked into the elections, and they stole the election. And they go, well, it's 15 agencies, it's 12 agencies, it's 9 agencies, it's 6 agencies, it's 3 agencies, it's 1 agency, it's no agency. It was 3 guys that have worked in 4 agencies. They went up on TV and said, unanimously, all 17 agencies say that Trump is guilty, guilty, guilty. So there you go. Woo! And he was the bad guy saying 17 agencies didn't say it because he was already president-elect and talked to them. And they said, sir, we never said this. This is malarkey. Where's the report, Trump said? There is no report. Oh, the fake news that the media said that Trump was wrong, that Comey was the leaker.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation.
Absolutely.
It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Always love those little surprises. But that's going to be part of the incredible extravaganzas today of surprises here live on the air, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very excited, whether you're listening on local radio or whether you are watching on the internet at Infowars.com/show. Whatever you're doing, take that live link on Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, and say, hey, to your email list, your neighbors, your friends, people at work, hey, this is going to be the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards, where we strike back and roast and lampoon the enemies of America's recovery and more. We'll keep breaking down the chronicles of their fake news. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get excited about the broadcast, when you take action, when you spread the word, when you spread the articles, the live links, the live transmission, when you tell people about the local AM and FM stations and TV stations and cable stations that are picking up the radio/TV simulcast of the rebirth of the Second American Revolution, you change the world. We have beaten Google. We have beaten Facebook. We have beaten Twitter. We have defeated their algorithms. We have defeated them saying Hillary was a 99% chance she was going to win until Election Day, and then they, drop it down to 85%. It's all fraud. It's all the perception. Well, guess what? We're taking the narrative back. They want to call real news fake news. Now they beg us not to use that term. Well, this is the People's Choice Infowars first annual fake news awards that is preceding the President's Choice Fake News Awards at 4 o'clock Central. We're going to be carrying it live with analysis and more. Infowars.com/show, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got live feeds on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. and newswars.com, where you can go get the news article that we have that says right there, watch the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards, preceded by President Trump's Fake News Awards at 4 o'clock today, airing at Infowars.com. And if you get that link out to everybody, or if you tell local stations that are carrying the war room, people can tune in and hear it. And this is so important because it absolutely infuriates the globalists. They can't stand it when we organize against them. They can't stand it when we organize and have award shows and make fun of them, how Hollywood has their own stupid award shows and they all worship each other. It's a joke. I don't like any award shows. But I like award shows where we roast them for their fraud, for their deceit, for their garbage. What's one of the big 2017 lies? That President Trump is mentally deficient, that President Trump is in bad health, that President Trump has early onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, a doctor that's worked for 4 different presidents and been the direct physician for 3 has come out, Ron Jackson, and said his heart is what's incredible. His brain is great as well. He got a 30 out of 30 on an in-depth psychological cognitive exam. And we did the heart test and the stress test, and the president went in for days to, off and on to be able to do all of these tests. And now they brought out the information. You can look at him climbing over hills when nobody else is, bear crawling up hills to, when he's playing golf. It just goes on and on and on. We're going to play some of those clips coming up a little bit later in the transmission. And there's so much news up on Infowars.com and newswars.com. Nobel Prize winner, Trump has launched a nationalist revolution against the elite. And more true intellectuals, more and more true historians have to admit the truth. Davos globalists seek to derail populist uprising. Nobel Prize-winning economist and globalist Robert Shiller says that President Trump has launched a nationalist revolution against the elite. And is he a good guy? No, but at least he's honest about the fact that we are defeating them. And now Trump's going to go to Davos. I was saying we're going to send some reporters, and I'm trying to get Paul to go, but a lot of this stuff isn't even in the budget here, ladies and gentlemen, because it's so expensive to run this operation. So let's get this started. I've cleared the decks of guests today because I want to take your phone calls. I want to hear what fake news stories of really the last year and a half. This first annual has been such an epic compendium of time, and they've taken all the old lies and regurgitated them into 2017 and 2018, the last year and a half. So we can go back into the election 2016 as well. I think that's all fair game. The toll-free number to join us is 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. Just specifically what the story was, what they did. We can search engine it. We can pull it up. Every nomination, guys, try to print it for me. Every nomination, like I've done the nomination, I'm saying, look, Hillary, Madam President, 200,000 plus copies already printed by Newsweek. They have fake photos in here of her accepting the night, her acceptance speech, her victory speech, how it all happened, all completely fake. This is how stupid they think you are. They did not pre-print up Mr. President deals. The fake polls that they admittedly added 10, 15, 20, 30 plus points to, depending on the poll, saying Trump would lose. That's a big nomination. The media saying illegal aliens and others weren't voting in the names of dead people. That's been totally confirmed by Harvard, Mason-Dixon University, George Washington University, Wall Street Journal studies, and much more. There's just been so much fake news. Russiagate in general, but specifically Flynn confessing he's a Russian agent and Trump's a Russian agent, total hoax. All 17 agencies saying the president is a Russian agent or that the Russians stole the election. That's a total hoax. The Pissgate dossier isn't just criminal, in my view. $2 million from the FBI to family members and Justice Department family members to create it. But the fact that they all colluded in the text messages and emails as an insurance policy to stop the president and to remove him from office. That's incredible. The fake news defending the FBI at the top, defending Comey. The fake news saying that Hillary didn't do anything illegal with her server. The fake news saying Uranium One wasn't a big issue. We could go on for days. But there's so many angles, so many pieces of fake news, so many areas to get into. What are your nominations, the People's Choice 2017? Of course, it's 2018 right now. We are just days away. We are now 2.5 days away from 365 days, one standard Earth orbit around the sun. The planet itself rotated 365 days. We are a few days away from 1 year. And if you look at Infowars.com and if you look at DrudgeReport.com, with what's happening with the economy, every day it just gets more and more insane. Manufacturing output rising further than the previous record. Stock market optimism hits the highest in 32 years, above 26,000. A year in post-Trump town in America. Flake speaks to nearly empty chamber. We've got that clip coming up when we come back. Jeff Flake saying that Trump's like Stalin to challenge the media and say they're lying when they lie. So defending yourself, free speech, is now Stalin cracking down on the press. No, what Hillary and Obama and the globalists tried to do, saying they wanted to shut down Drudge Report, Infowars. That, ladies and gentlemen, in congressional hearings is what Stalin would do. Calling Trump Hitler when he has nothing to do with Nazis is what Stalin would do. Saying he's mentally ill is what Stalin would do. That's all Soviet tactic, GRU tactic, globalist beatnik tactics that we infected Russia with that's still here in America. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Stay with us. Now, right now, over 200 AM and FM radio stations are picking up the broadcast, dozens of UHF, VHF stations and cable systems. This is Infowars Live with your host, Alex Jones. But we are hosting, and we're kicking off right now, the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards for 2017. Just like they have a lot of times, you know, on TV, the People's Choice ahead of the Grammys, the Emmys, the Oscars. We're having the People's Choice ahead of the big event at 4 o'clock Central that we're going to carry live, uncensored, unedited. Because, you know, mainstream media is going to only carry pieces of it and carry it out of context. We're going to carry it live, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I think it's so important. We're going to let our local radio stations know. A lot of them are going to want to do this to pick up the War Room. In the second and third hour of the War Room, we're going commercial free. When the president is up there giving this incredible award, it's so important to destroy the mainstream media, to expose them, to ridicule them, to show their fraud, to show their lies, to strike back, that we're going commercial free in the second and third hour of the War Room today. Our stations are absolutely welcome to roll their ads over us if they need to do that. But things that are really important, occasionally, every once in a while, I haven't skipped any breaks, in 4 or 5 months since we changed the new clock. But we're not going to do it during my broadcast today. But when the president goes on, and his awards may be 30 minutes, they may be an hour. The word is they're going to be an hour. We are going to be commercial free as to not have any of our affiliates miss any of this, because these affiliates are the real news. They're standing up for what's right. They're standing up. They're the reason you've got a record stock market and record low black unemployment and record low white unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, but the black unemployment is incredibly low now, lowest ever. The reason you've got all this exuberance, the reason you've got 2,000 new factories and 2 million new jobs and $400 billion in new investment, it was $200 billion a few months ago, it's the reason the country's coming roaring back, because there was a boot on our neck. Globalism artificially had chained us down. Trump knew this. A 5-year-old would know this as well. And I'm not saying he's a 5-year-old. The Bernie Sanders, he wants to cut the taxes from 40% to 15% on the corporations that make trillions of dollars. Not one of those big corporations supported Trump. They all wrote the laws to have the taxes be prohibitive here, to move overseas as a program to deindustrialize us, to bring us to heel. Like Hillary said, black people are predators, bring them to heel like a dog. The globalist writings, all they talk about is bringing America under their control. And that means getting rid of the farms, the ranches, getting rid of the small machine shops, getting rid of the tinkerers, getting rid of your local control, getting rid of the factories, getting rid of the industry, getting rid of real education, taking full control of education, of medicine, of housing, of food, and you've got slaves. So that's another big fake news story of 2017, that the president's tax plan won't help the poor people. White people don't know what it's like to be poor. I bankrupt companies and take them over, but it's all right because I'm liberal. Swindle me a country. You're going to just get my boot on your neck like we did the Russians for 85 years and show you. Now, let me stop channeling him. So continuing, they said that the tax cut would hurt the economy. Just exploded. And they said that it was to benefit only the rich. Total lie. When the ultra-rich don't want this and want our president's head on a spike. On a spike! So it is the first annual 2017 People's Choice Fake News Awards, leading up to the big kahuna. Donald John Trump, the promise keeper, the man that delivers. I'm not calling him Moses yet, the deliverer, but he's delivering, which is the subset of that overall historical term. Here we are, 20 years ago today, BBC, arrival of the digital age. Lewinsky blames Drudge, took 3 days before others to report. The dress, the cigar, the drama, all about independent media forcing them to report something so critical. Overall, is Lewinsky that important? No, but him lying about it, the media trying to cover it up, their failure, that was the shot. Heard round the world, heralding, in their own words, the digital age, and now 20 years later, the London Independent. Even the Associated Press and others say Drudge is the #1 most powerful journalist in the world. After thousands of publications heralded his collapse, his fall, the end of Drudge, knowing the entire time it was the metaphoric rise. Just as they've said about Infowars, and just as they try to block you sharing the articles, the videos, the live links. So, Infowars.com/show. Share that link and tell folks it's the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards with President Trump, because he's coming up. And the headline just went live at Infowars.com with the live feeds from Facebook, Google, the YouTube system, and Twitter, with the live feeds of the People's Choice right now. It's an info war. So get that link with the live feeds. I know you're listening to local AM and FM. That's fine. That's wonderful. Get it out to everybody you know and say, hey, did you know the president's Fake News Awards is live, and introing it is the People's Choice Fake News Awards. Now, when we do these special live events, there's usually, outside of our regular audience of 3-4 million a day, only 500,000 to 1 million that tune into them. And that's if it's a 3 or 4 hour show. If it's 24 hour, maybe 1 million, 2 million extra. That's very important. It's new people. It's how we grow. But when you get excited, we've had over 35 million people in one day tune into the streams. Now, more and more, you got to go to Infowars.com/show and get it off our feed, because Twitter, Google, and people will kill the feeds and play games. But everybody's welcome to pick up our feed at Infowars.com/show, or the backup that's an even better HD for members at PrisonPlanet.tv, and mirror it on your Facebook, mirror it on your Twitter, stream it on your own system. We're in a total war right now. Infowars.com/show. to get our feed. But the really important ones to make them go mega viral is on the front page of Infowars.com and Newswars.com with the headline right now that you can watch President Trump host the first annual Fake News Awards with the People's Choice right now for the next 3-4 hours leading into it. And your phone calls are starting. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines on the other side. And we've got Flake saying this is Stalinistic. This is the most evil thing in the galaxy. Let's go to that clip right now as we go to break. Here is the senator demonizing fighting back.
It is a testament to the condition of our democracy that our own president uses words infamously spoken by Joseph Stalin to describe his enemies. It bears noting that so fraught with malice was the phrase enemy of the people that even Nikita Khrushchev forbade its use, telling the Soviet Communist Party that the phrase had been introduced by Stalin for the purpose of, quote, annihilating such individuals, unquote, who disagreed with the supreme leader. This alone should be the source of great shame for us in this body, especially for those of us in the president's party, for they are shameful, repulsive statements. And of course, the president has it precisely backward. Despotism is the enemy of the people. The free press is the despot's enemy, which makes the free press the guardian of democracy.
He's not ending the free press.
When a figure in power reflexively
He's standing up to you lying scumbags.
Fake news, it is that person who should be the figure of suspicion, not the press.
Oh, you're not the press.
I dare say that anyone who has had the privilege and awesome responsibility to serve in this chamber
like Tony Montana.
knows that these reflexive
You can't kill a
slurs
cop.
of fake news are dubious at best.
Whoever said you was one.
Those of us who travel overseas, especially to war zones and other troubled areas all around the globe, encounter members of U.S.-based media who risk their lives and sometimes lose their lives reporting on the truth.
Oh, so they're implying Trump's trying to kill journalists when they're the ones going hashtag hunt Republicans and pushing all the... All right, Charles, John, Steve, Ben, John, James, Kevin, Mad, Chris, Josh, Jason. Sometimes I get like all women, sometimes I get all men. But that's who's on the board right now. We've got the 2017 People's Choice Fake News Awards. That's going to be running right up till 4 o'clock today. And then we're going to carry live President Trump's awards at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. And we are going to then see how our ideas, your ideas, all the fake news that MSM got caught in, which ones that we picked match up with the president. I mean, is it that Hillary was going to win the election? 99% chance. New York Times, Newsweek already had it printed up. She was Madam President with a fake magazine showing her give the victory speech. I mean, that's pretty close. Saying no illegals voted when it was all confirmed. Millions did. The lying polls saying Trump was sick and had the mind of a 5-year-old when he doesn't. Top medical reports now come out. Meanwhile, we got more dirty tricks. Hackers messaged Donald Trump with former Fox News host Twitter accounts, Greta Van Susteren and others. They got the feeds, probably inside jobs, because those are now derelict accounts from Twitter, with the vicious, Twitter spying on its users, spying on them having sex, sharing the videos. There's nothing Silicon scum won't do. The Scumicon Valley of scum. We've got that. So 2 personalities Trump followed on Twitter apparently hacked as they tried to use them as ways to private message. I think the prime suspects are operatives inside Twitter. They've been caught doing it before. Twitter's already killed his account before. As a beta test, we're going to be discussing that as well. So huge fake news stories. We're going to be taking your calls on all of those. You've also seen hundreds of fake news stories about crosses burned, poop swastikas, Jewish dormitories being attacked, Jewish cemeteries being attacked, Muslims being attacked by Trump supporters. Every single one of them, it turned out 2017 of hundreds, was fake. Infowars, Breitbart, Fox, all wrote detailed articles chronicling just the dozens and dozens and dozens of examples per article per month. So that's a big fake news awards, is the media going with these hate crime hoaxes to try to create a racially charged atmosphere. Toll-free number to join us. When you hear somebody hang up, that's your chance to get on air. Matt's doing a great job in there taking your calls. 877-789-2539. Briefly, because we got to fund the operation. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the people that make real news, brazen in your face, wearing it on our sleeve that we love liberty, that we promote the truth. You are what funds this information warfare operation. And when you buy the products, when you buy the videos, when you buy the books, when you buy the air filtration, the water filtration, the non-GMO heirloom seeds, all the high-quality solar-powered shortwave radios, emergency radios, thousands and thousands of whatever the coolest items are that we can get the best prices on, going to make a catalog soon. We put in free for every order because we really are a big catalog now. It funds us. That's how we're funded. So shop with the good guys today, please. So many great products at InfoWarsLive.com. So many great supplements, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we're announcing a new product today that is so well documented, and ours is a particular concentrate of this that is directly from France. And we are announcing Pollen Block. It's normally $34.95. Leading competitors are up to $60. Our sales price is $17.76 out of the gates, even though that's close to what it cost us. 51% off Pollen Block with all of the seasonal stuff that's out there and all the sniffling and all of the irritation that goes on. Pollen Block is not like Claritin D or Zyrtec D that works pretty good, but makes me, want to beat people up. I mean, it's like methamphetamine. That's why I can't take it. So I started taking this months before it actually came out, and it has assuaded many of the seasonal issues, that we all get, and it blows me away how well it works. I'd say about a 70% reduction. So InfoWars Live is bringing you a breakthrough in modern medicine. We have found an extraordinary new natural way to help alleviate seasonal distress symptoms, including promoting clear nasal and sinus passageways, eye comfort, and respiratory health and normal breathing. This is Pollen Block. The problem, about a third of Americans experience some sort of seasonal discomfort. Nobody wants to be forced to stay indoors during some of the best times of the year. It's time to get back out in the open air. In the 1960s, researchers in France noticed that people who ate certain quail eggs from specific farms experienced less seasonal distress symptoms like runny nose, itchy, watery eyes, and excessive mucus production. They began studying the effects in published trials, and eventually perfected the technique to naturally harvest the secret bioactive portion, this is a secret process, of the eggs, and concentrate it into an effective small dose tablet. Now we are introducing the fruit of the research, a fast-acting chewable tablet that helps alleviate seasonal distress symptoms. Just chew 2 tablets at the first sign of seasonal distress, and fast-acting Pollen Block starts working in about 15 minutes to help alleviate seasonal distress. The product comes in a convenient, small, plastic-to-go container, so you can take it with you hiking, hunting, fishing, or watching the game. Pollen Block is a simple, natural, and effective way to enjoy the outdoors, again, without the use of artificial pharmaceuticals. Enjoy the air you breathe naturally with fast-acting Pollen Block, available now at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. We also now have in stock Immunwall. It's 25% off with the beta-glucans, the olive leaf, and a bunch of other concentrated, new, high-tech, patented, studied systems with ancient things like concentrated olive leaf that the Romans took to boost their immune systems, or especially take once they started getting sick. That was one reason they could defeat their enemies, just like the British discovered limes when nobody else knew what vitamin C was 300 years before everybody else. So when they faced down the Spanish or the French or the Dutch or others, 3,000 miles away, they'd be ready to fight on the decks of their ships. And this has also got the concentrated organic lemon peel and orange peel in it for the vitamin C. It is powerful. It is Immunwall with all the concentrated mushrooms and so much more. And your purchase funds this operation to the total chagrin of the enemy. It devastates them when you shop with the good guys. When you get an additional 10% off and sign up for auto ships, you don't forget to support ourselves in the InfoWar, yourself, and everybody together. So go to InfoWarsStore.com, and it's got to end because Secret 12 is 50% off, about to sell out. Survival Shield's close, and I may just go ahead and let it sell out the next week, and then I don't have any more for a month. And Super Male Vitality, all very close. Those are still 50% off. Again, we had to get rid of the free shipping just because we cannot operate so much of it. We sold a ton of stuff, but didn't bring in as much funding because, again, there's less money per order. But people like it, and people take advantage of it, and that's great. And I kind of come up with my specials myself. And so the accountants are like kind of hitting me on the head with pencils saying, listen, you need to really stop it because you don't do like Walmart does or Target where they say, oh, we're having a sale, and they raise the price 50% one week, then lower it the next week. And then it's really the regular price. When we say 50% off, folks, it's 50% off. So Pollen block is incredible. You've heard about what local honey does for seasonal issues and the stress and the dust and all the rest of it, the pollen. That helps some, but nothing has helped like this other than Zyrtec D and Claritin D, and that makes me, I mean, I'm naturally bouncing off the walls off 1 cup of coffee today. I never even finished my cup, okay? I can't take it. And yes, it makes me feel better, except it makes me feel crazy. Well, this doesn't do it. And I don't know how the Japanese quail eggs fed this special diet in France, how this was discovered. But obviously, you know, the birds have got some things in them that are, you know, they're out there in the middle of all the dust and all the garbage and all the pathogens and everything, and they transmit it through the eggs to you. And they don't, it's all very secret. And it took us about a year to even be able to get a hold of the folks and be able to get the deal made. You know, it's kind of like we have to go to Mitsubishi America to get the Bio PQQ that's actually real for DNA Force. I mean, these are real high-quality things. Okay, I'm done. I am done. I will not plug to the end of the next hour. I'm going to come back, even though I've got all these clips of the head surgeon saying Trump's great and 30 out of 30, a perfect cognitive score. Oh, that proves their fake news is just that fake news. We've got Stelter saying Hillary's in perfect health, but then freaking out about Trump's health and making stuff up. But it's the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards, and we'll be carrying President Trump's Fake News Awards from the White House coming up at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. So Infowars.com/show. Again, I am your host, and please, we're in a total censorship war. You're our only hope, so thank you for the financial support, the prayers, and spreading the articles and videos. I know you're awake. We got to keep hammering and hammering. We're turning things around, but the enemy's pushing back hard. Spread the live links to the Fake News Awards. Okay, we always have great callers. I tend to keep callers on for 5-10 minutes. No matter how good you are, I got to keep my mouth to a minimum. My tongue to a minimum, and I've just got to have you make your point. We'll vet it. We'll pull up an article confirming it was fake news. We'll print it off, put it in the stack, and it will go into the hopper to be nominated for the top 10. And then we're going to have the top 3 nominated fake news stories 2017, $2,000 prize, $1,000 prize, and a set of steak knives for the 3rd prize. But if I think you're going into the nomination hopper, I'm going to say we're going to put you on hold, and the great Matt or one of the other wonderful crew will get on the phone with you, and we'll get your name and number. And then after the president has his awards tonight, we're going to mesh up our awards, the ones we choose by 4 o'clock, with the ones that the president has, and then we're going to kind of put those together. It's going to be interesting. We're going to carry that live at 4 o'clock today. So you are watching the live feed where you're going to have President Trump and his first annual Fake News Awards, as the American people stand up and point out the lies of mainstream media. Don't just sit there and take it. And we welcome people to investigate us and go over us and see what we're doing. You know, they got all our supplements and tested them over and over. Couldn't find anything wrong with them. Said they're the very highest quality out there. And I said, you know what they're going to do next? you know what they did. It's not hard to... So much of this, just figure out, hey, you go out walking out there in the middle of the, black ice on the street, you might fall down and break your butt. And it happens. It's like, wow, if they can't get us fair and square, what are they going to do? So we can anticipate what these folks are up to. It's very, very important to expose them. So we're going to do that today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't want to cut Charles off and John and Steve and Ben and John and James and Kevin and all these folks. So I'm going to do this. We're going to have a 1-minute break, come back, go right to your calls. But I want to go ahead and play, since I mentioned it. This is Ron Jackson. Worked for 4 presidents, directly for 3 of them. Friends with Obama. Said great things about Obama. Bipartisan, very respected. Saying this guy's as healthy as a horse, okay? And the media is flipping out about it. Here's part of it.
Number one, there have been some questions as part of your exam. I'm wondering if you talked to the president about this, about the president's mental fitness. He has pushed back on that, calling himself a stable genius. Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
Absolutely. So many of you may have picked up on the fact that we did do a cognitive assessment as part of the exam. And initially, I had no intention of including a cognitive assessment in this exam because, to be honest with you, per all the guidelines that are out there, it's not indicated at this time. A lot of the guidelines would suggest that you do cognitive screening questions, and that if you have a positive or concerning answer in the screening questions, that then you engage with a cognitive screening tool. So I had no intentions whatsoever of doing that. Like I said, because
this is right out of the Soviet Union. To see what had to happen.
Part of the reason I didn't think it was clinically indicated is because I've spent almost every day in the president's presence since January 20, 2000, or last year, when he got into office, and I've seen him every day. I see him 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a day because of the location of my office. We have conversations about many things. Most don't.
How long do we have to respond to every fake thing they say?
I've got to know him pretty well.
Prove you don't have a forked tail, Trump.
Absolutely no concerns about his
show us your butt
or his his neurological function. So I was not going to do a cognitive exam. I had no intention of doing one. The reason that we did the cognitive assessment is plain and simple because the president asked me to do it. He came to me and he said, is there something we can do, a test or some type of screen that we can do to assess my, my cognitive ability? And so I looked into it. And once again, and my initial question was that I didn't think it was indicated and I didn't think we should do it. After looking at some of the guidelines, there are a few guidelines out there that lean in the direction of potentially doing it. The Medicare guidelines and some of the NIH.
Hold on, hit pause. There's only a minute left. I've got to have the part where he does the test and he gets a 30 out of 30. And they don't know what to do. Now the media is saying this guy's lying. Well, okay, then a guy that's mentally retarded defeated your entire power structure. So what does that say about you, Stelter? What does that say that a mental deficient defeated you? Ladies and gentlemen, you have just tuned in to the first annual Infowars.com People's Fake News Choice Awards. It is the Fake News Awards, the People's Choice. We'll also carry the President's Live Award Show coming up at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. Infowars.com/show. Please tell everybody about the local stations you're listening to. It's so critical. I cannot stress that enough. And also go to Infowars.com or Newswars.com and share the live page. Watch live the 2017 Fake News Awards hosted by President Trump. Full coverage. The first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards presented by Infowars. Share this link. So up until 4 o'clock today, right through my transmission into the war room with Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone and others, I'll be there as well. Then we'll have the President's Live event. Then we'll have commentary, and we'll match up your calls, your nominations, what you thought the most important mainstream news, fake news of the year was, or if you think something we said was wrong. I mean, I'll tell you a fake news award. Hundreds of publications say that I said there are children living as slaves on Mars. I said no such thing. Buzz Aldrin said that there is an obelisk on the one moon of Mars. And I talked about that when I had a CIA guy on that said some weird stuff. I said nothing like that. There's no video, there's no audio, but I am constantly confronted by people. It's not I'm a Russian agent anymore. That's all falling apart. The whole thing that Trump's dying, that's all falling apart. The fact he was going to rip all that. No, it's that I am saying that there are slave colonies on Mars. Lie, 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 lie. Okay, without further ado, the first caller of the People's Choice Fake News Awards. We'll see how many of our Fake News Awards line up with the president's. Now coming up in T-minus 3 hours and 51 minutes, 10 seconds. Infowars.com/show. Infowars.com. Get the article, spread it. It's how we reach new people. I keep hammering it. They're having congressional hearings saying they're censoring us. They're trying to shut down Drudge. They're trying to shut down talk radio. They're trying to bring back the fairness doctrine. Thank God we got Trump in, but we're still fighting. They're trying to remove him. They're trying to block the recovery. They're trying to block, he's repealed the mandate on Obamacare. We are delivering. You are delivering. We are winning. But we're not out of this fight yet. We've got to have a heart here for the fight. You know, I didn't realize we had like the real Jean-Claude Van Damme in here yesterday. I mean, I knew he was a world champion Muay Thai fighter, but for the country of Thailand and stuff, world champion in his weight, bare knuckles boxing, bare knuckles Muay Thai. That's kicking and punching and all that stuff that they make movies about, but the real deal. I mean, I knew who he was, former special operations guy, and friends with Clinton and the other guys that were in here. One guy couldn't put himself on television. It's just crazy. We need to have him back sometime just to talk about that, because people get killed all the time doing that. That's crazy. So that's something interesting as a side issue. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Charles, John, Steve, Ben, John, James, Kevin, Mad, Christian, Chris, Josh, Jason, Frank, we're going to you right now. And why are we doing this? To point out the lies. They want to just move forward, think we forget about all their other lies, tell us Obamacare is going to be free, and then it's not. Remember, Gruber said, thank God you don't have an attention span. You have the attention span of Dory in Finding Nemo. He says, thank God. Well, we do have an attention span. And that's what Infowars.com does. We'll show you where they said something 2 years ago. We'll show you where they say it now. Or we'll show you unfiltered what somebody's saying when they're being accused of something. And point out, hey, lawyers are paying people to say this. Hear what Steven Seagal has to say directly from him. And that's what they hate, is they want to put out the only narrative and not let you decide for yourself. All right, I'm done. Without further ado, let's go to John in Wyoming. John, thank you for calling. Thank you for holding. You are the first caller of the People's Choice Fake News Awards 2017. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alex, and Happy New Year to all of you guys at Infowars.
Thank you.
I want to talk about these phony pollsters. My award goes to these people who keep lying to the American people how Trump's popularity ratings are down. They're the same liars who said that Hillary was going to win by 12 points. They're the same liars who in 1984 said Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferraro were going to steamroll all over Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Yet when the 84 election concluded, Reagan and Bush had won 49 states with 525 electoral college votes, and Mondale and Ferraro only won Mondale's home state of Minnesota with just 13 electoral college votes. Now, my question to them is, whatever happened to Wally and the Beaver?
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that that's in the running. Fake polls, fake pollsters getting together with their own methodology, admitting, adding 9, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30-plus points to Hillary. That really is the big takeaway, because they keep saying Trump's illegitimate. Right into 2017, they still keep hammering these fake polls.
Well, also, they're the ones who didn't want to talk about a 60 Minutes interview that they had with Bill and Hillary Clinton about 20 years ago. And rather than seated on a sofa, they had Bill and Hillary sitting on these high wooden bar stools. And in the midst of the interview, a studio light popped behind them. They thought they were under fire, and they both immediately leapt to their feet, and Hillary screamed at the top of her lungs, "Jesus, Joseph, and Mary," and then jumped into Bill's lap while he was standing, and she was crying and shivering uncontrollably. And that's the same media who was trying to tell us what a tough, strong leader Hillary was.
You know, it's funny you say that. She says that she's on tarmacs getting shot up, and she's caught lying like Brian Williams. These are known liars. We ought to, we'll play that video when we come back. She actually hops around like a chimpanzee. She goes, and then hops in his lap. You're absolutely right. John, you're one of the guys I want to start hosting a show. We've been talking about it for years. We've tried to call your number. I'm going to put you on hold again to make sure that happens. But you're also getting your number because you're in the running with your nomination of the pollsters to be one of the winners. We're going to see right now in the People's Choice, because whoever ends up getting the best ones that match up with the president, we're going to end up having them win. And I have a sneaking suspicion you may win here, John. Let's put John on hold. Thank you so much, John. Okay, let's get one more in before we go to break. Let's go to Ben. We're going to go to Kansas and talk to Ben in Kansas. You're on the air, Ben.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good.
All right. Well, I think everyone knows the biggest host of this whole election, episode was the fact that the Russians stole the election, and everyone, all the channels covered it. Oh, it's the Russians. That's why Hillary lost. There could be no other reason, because the poll said she won. So, that's my guess, and I think you'll agree. I mean, that's probably the biggest.
Exactly, but do you just say Russiagate in general is the biggest fake news? Because you've got to then give an award to a particular media outlet like ABC saying that Flynn had confessed and they were all Russian agents.
Exactly. So, that's one of them. You know, CNN.
So does the dossier win? I mean, does the FBI win? I mean, I'm not bashing the general FBI, but the Democrats at the top. I mean, do they win for funding the fake dossier? Because, you know, it's not just media that's in the news business. The FBI is now in the fake news business with the Clintons. They're trying to clean house. But does Fusion GPS win? Does the FBI win? Does Comey win? Does ABC win? Who wins that? In the whole Russia constellation, what's the brightest lie of them all?
I'd say CNN, but...
You pick who?
CNN.
Okay, CNN, leader in fake news for Russiagate. Let's put Ben on hold and get his number. These are all so good. We're going to have like 100 people to call back. Let's get Ben's info because I think he's right on target as well. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the first annual People's Choice Fake News Awards, hosted by yours truly, Alex Jones.
We pledge allegiance to Comrade Putin and his great minion, Donald J. Trump, to make America great again. We pledge this plan to destroy the Americans, to save their economy and their people and their border and their military. Hail Putin! Hail Russia! We will never surrender!
Здравствует Россия и Америка!
Yes.
За дружбу народов!
Yes, that is the KGB plan. Well done, comrades. Let's show the Americans.
There you go. The total proof that we're all Russian agents that have exploded the stock market, increased the pay of the troops, doubled the amount of VA visits, the lowest black unemployment ever recorded, the biggest startups in factories since World War II, all because they're taking the boot off our neck. And that's why the elite that had run this country in the ground are so angry. They are the criminal elite that had total control. We're going to go to Josh in Oregon here in just a moment. Then we're going to go to Chris in Virginia and others. Boom, boom, boom. With your nominations, this is the People's Choice 2017, held on Wednesday, January 17, 2018. Fake News Awards. We're printing off all the nominations, printing off articles that substantiate your statements, putting them in a big stack. That's critical. To then, if you guys can print those off and bring them to me, thank you. So then we can bring in all the nominations on the War Room at 3 o'clock, go over them and decide who's going to win, and then guess how it's going to line up with President Trump that we're going to carry live and follow live. So if people want to watch the Fake News Awards, really upsets the globalists when we do this, tell folks, watch President Trump live here. Don't watch it filtered through the media where they'll censor it or make stuff up or block it. See it unedited live today, 4 o'clock Central, Infowars.com/show. And spread the article that Kit Daniels posted with the same title. Okay, right now, I normally promote, but this is critical. This really upsets them. It really gets to them. And we're so close to destroying them completely. They're trying to destroy us with lies and censorship and corporate power. We're destroying them with the truth. Speaking of destroying them, the poster boy for what looks like a psychotic Humpty Dumpty, Brian Stelter, is being nominated by Josh in Oregon. Josh, you're on the air. Tell us about your nomination for Fake News Kingpin in 2017. We keep hearing CNN from the listeners, and you've nominated Brian Piranha Face Stelter. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, so I think Brian Stelter, I think he may take the cake. I mean, there's a lot of contenders for the fake news, fake news award, but I think he might just take the cake. And the reason why is during the campaign, he was one of the lead people pushing the idea that it was a conspiracy theory if you questioned Hillary Clinton's health whatsoever. And then he is now the person leading the actual conspiracy theory, saying that Donald Trump is indeed mentally unfit for office.
Why do I hear like ice cream truck music and think of like white van when I look at him?
Yeah, definitely. I bet he has a closet full of trench coats. I could almost guarantee you that.
Well, I mean, he doesn't know how psychotic he looks in these photos. I mean, how would you pose for a photo and then go, look, honey, this is a great glamour shot. We're going to put this out. Look. Hi, I'm Brian Stelter. Hi. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he has a quite the psychotic disconnect in his eyes for sure. I mean, it really is the look of these people though, and I truly think it is sort of a spirit that they channel, kind of.
It is. It's the look of a traitor. It's a look of what the evil running this planet comes up with. Because let's face it, it's hard to get really strong, powerful, men to be pieces of crap. You got to trick them, you got to manipulate them. But willing accomplices, they're always little sacks of garbage.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, there's historical context for this. I mean, we know that Hitler himself, he admitted, this is actual mainstream history, that after he got gassed in World War I, he had these crazy supernatural visions.
He had hallucinations and was possessed by a spirit that showed him everything was going to happen that only betrayed him at the end. Same thing with Charles Darwin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so yeah, there's definitely historical context for it, and I don't think Brian Stetler's got a high level demon like old Hitler did. I think he's probably got a lower level little.
Well, you can see that. I mean, he looks like a gremlin. He's not even a goblin.
worm tongue Grimer for sure.
Yeah. All right, brother. God bless you. So Brian Stelter, my gosh, that is. Really, really, really hard not to say that he is right up there at the top of just the icon of disingenuous, narcissistic, blind arrogance, not realizing he shaves his head to look old. He's like 32. I mean, there's just nothing more fake about this condescending enemy of humanity. I mean, that's just, he would win the Enemy of Humanity Awards. I mean, if I was a Hollywood director, I know what I'd cast him for, though, every time. You hear the ice cream truck. Ice cream. Here comes the ice cream man. The ice cream man. If he can't, nobody can. Ice cream man. Brian Stelter. Ice cream, candy and puppies. Oh, so fun. Yay, yay, yay. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate your call. Okay, we certainly know he enjoys annihilating the truth. Okay, let's go ahead now, and let's go to another caller here in the Fake News Awards, the People's Choice. Let's talk to Charles in Atlanta, Georgia. You're on the air, my friend.
Hey, Alex, great job out there, man. You're definitely a patriot of the highest order.
No, you are. I'm under attack. I'm not rolling over. That's who I am, and we're brothers. Go ahead.
We'd be toast without you, my friend. Look, man, my fake news award goes to faux news. And I don't know if you saw Judge Jeanine on Saturday night, but it was one of the most egregious, insulting examples I've ever seen. She had Sheriff Joe on the show. Guy's been in law enforcement for over half a century, since she's probably been in grade school. Now he's running for Senate. So she brings up the false alarm going on in Hawaii on Saturday afternoon and says, oh, you feel really strongly about this. And he says, yeah. He points out the fact that he had the ongoing investigation into the forged documents in Hawaii and says, they can't even solve that. Judge Jeanine immediately cuts him off and says, that document, the long form, was filed, so let's put that one away. What do you mean filed, liar? It wasn't filed, it was forged. So he tries to push back. She immediately cuts him off and says, well, all right, let's keep moving because they did solve that, and I'm going to keep pushing back on that. Pushing back on what? Two different experts.
By the way, they hired the top firm in Italy and another one in was it England or Germany? You look at it. What we found out in an hour, they put it in 6 layers on purpose, used Microsoft Word with the fake typewriter font, so all the letters are supposedly going to be individual from a typewriter because each splat is like a fingerprint or snowflake. It was the same deal. And then, of course, years later, the top scientists say what we said. I mean, it's not, again, why did they make it so fake on purpose? To make it a debate about that, why did he say he was from Kenya, born in Kenya, in the Harvard Law Review that he was the editor of? Why did his wife say it in speeches? As the double cover that he's really Frank Marshall Davis's son, he's lived with him, it's admitted. There's photos of him on the same couch that his mom shot porn in. It's all confirmed. So that was the whole setup. It's why they did all that to us on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, faux news has been covering Bozo the fraud for 6 years. It's about time they get called out.
Oh, you're right. Fox News has certain things they won't let get touched, and one of them is 9/11 Truth. The other big one is the birth certificate, which, again, was ridiculously fake. I mean, it was. We opened it up. It was in layers. They didn't flatten the fake forgery on purpose to make us take the bait. We'll be back. Why am I so in Trump's corner? Because I'm a man of my word. It's all I got in this world. Most important possession. You don't possess your children. They're the most important thing in my life. But my most important possession, not even my health, not my looks, not money. It's that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, or I'm going to try real hard to get it done. And if I can't get it done, I'm going to come to you and tell you why I couldn't. Because that's the kind of world I want to live in, is where people do what they say they're going to do. Where people stand for what they stand for. So my children and your children have a future together around honorable people where we don't put up with corruption and lies. And when there is corruption and lies, it's at a very low level and dealt with. Because if you don't deal with corruption and evil, it will run wild. That's an absolute, incontrovertible fact of common sense and common law and natural law in this universe. We're beginning to hit the bottom of a very deep, decadent, twisted, satanic cycle. It's happened in every other culture, every other cycle in history. But there's a compaction and acceleration to this because of technology and population and science. And so things are compressed, but they're also amplified. And that's why the real game of life isn't just having a bigger pool or a bigger house or trying to keep your wife or husband happy. None of that's ever going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is a purpose-driven life. And I know you know that. And I was even reading CNN this morning, because they tell the truth sometimes, and they were like, all Trump wants to do is overturn Washington. He's committed. It is true. Our sources say he's up at 6 a.m. At 7 a.m., he's in the Yellow Oval, as it's called, on the second floor. And he makes all the decisions and makes a whole bunch of phone calls and reads documents in between watching television, Twitter, and surfing the internet. And that everything he does is just insane commitment to doing what he said he'd do. So they oscillate between he's crazy, he does what he says he's going to do, a promise keeper. Now that's crazy because it's not pragmatic with them. Well, there's no compromise with them. They're not pragmatic, they're globalist. You can't be pragmatic with cancer or cyanide or jumping off a cliff, or sticking your arm in a wood chipper. There's no pragmatic about it. It's a one-way street. And the president has to compromise some. He's not a dictator, despite what Senator Flake says. We'll play that clip in a moment. And so all he can do is fight back against their lies in real time, and not just let them put out a big lie and lay there and take it and roll over to the media. Now in Hollywood, if someone makes an accusation, everyone piles on and says, well, I know that's true, even though I never saw it happen. And I think the person that reportedly did this is a horrible person. And then there's no evidence ever even given. And then it turns out the police will tell you about half of the rape cases or sexual assault cases you hear are made up. Doesn't lessen the real ones. But it just shows who's deploying this, who's pushing all this hysteria to cover up for the real stuff they're doing. I just saw Schwarzenegger, who's a famous groper. I wouldn't call him a rapist, but really pushes himself on people. He doesn't deny it. I don't know people that know him. I mean, the guy could have sex 5 times a day. And him and Wilt Chamberlain would have contests on the sets of movies, how many women they could have sex with, reportedly. Chamberlain talked about it. Sometimes 10, 15 women a day. Arnold couldn't do that like Chamberlain could. Chamberlain said, I think he's had sex with like 10,000 women. People think that might be an exaggeration. I see Schwarzenegger out going, condemning somebody from some movie 25, 30 years ago, because the young woman who was 12 at the time makes the allegation, and then just instantly it's absolutely true, and everybody turns on the guy, and it may be true. The point is you say, well, this is terrible. I hope this isn't the case, but we need to investigate. No. When there's real pedophilia, dyed-in-the-wool going on an industrial scale, they hire people that are convicted pedophiles to run movies and be directors. Weinstein does. They protect them. They get caught raping kids, and they get jobs again, and nothing's done. They let Muslims rape kids and marry 9-year-old girls in the U.S. and in Canada and in Europe, and no one gets in trouble. But then the very same left points their finger at you and says, if you ever touch a woman on her knee, or a woman hugs you and you touch her and her shirt comes up, you touch her back, you're fired. And it's meant to just be like, hey, don't hug. Now they're saying high schoolers and people shouldn't hug, or you can't have a best friend. First they get rid of dodgeball, then running, then all the rest of it. And then now, oh, we're getting rid of recess altogether, and oh, you can't have best friends because that discriminates against somebody. That's a cult. I'm going to go to your phone calls when we come back. I'm going to just rampage through them. I'm going to go to Steve. I'm going to go to Natasha. I'm going to go to James, Kevin, Matt. I'm going to just go bam, bam, bam. Your phone calls, one after the other, on the other side. But we are involved in the People's Choice 2017 Fake News Awards on this Wednesday, the 17th day of January 2018. There's a live feed on Infowars.com and Newswars.com. Please share that link with everybody you know. Watch live the 2017 Fake News Awards hosted by President Trump. And get on Twitter, get on Facebook. They're going to have the bots criticize you for it. So what? Move forward. A lot of the bots don't know what Prison Planet or News Wars is. If you want to get around them, you can send out a News Wars link. But tell people to tune in, and tell them to tune in particularly at 4 o'clock when the president hosts his Fake News Awards. We're the people's choice. We're going to see how that lines up with the president's choice. The guy that's really been hammered, who gets to therapeutically fire back, because mainstream media admits in their own documents, they hope, Gruber says it, WikiLeaks says it, remember he says you're dumb effers, he was hired to triple prices on you, you're an idiot. All the professors sit around and learn how to lie, and he goes, this is how you lie. I will teach you how to take control and lie. I'm the best liar. And they're like, yes, sir, yes, you're amazing, sir. 7 speeches talking about how he lies and how he hates you. Look it up for yourself. And their touchstone is you don't have a memory. Well, you do have a memory. And so Trump is going to bring back the last year of their whopper of lies that crossed over from 2016 to 2017. 99% chance he's going to win. Newsweek, Time, CNN, New York Times, Madam President, already had them all printed up. The issue itself shows her victory night, giving the victory speech. Totally fake. You know she didn't win. You know she didn't have a victory speech that night. She wouldn't even show up. She was throwing such a fit. Yeah, they had it at 99 at first, but by the night of, it was forecast 98 on the New York Times, the Huffington Post, which is the George Soros Post. Now, briefly, we have 2 new items, Immune Wall that is incredible for everybody's immune system, 25% off at InfoWarsLife.com, and we have the new pollen block that has the specially fed Japanese quail. This was discovered decades ago and now perfected in France, and whatever it is with the special secret diet with the Japanese quail, this is in concentrate of their eggs, and I've never seen anything that's worked this good for my runny nose, burning eyes, and all the rest of it with the seasonal discomfort and the seasonal issues, seasonal discomfort that takes place. Pollen Block, InfoWarsLife.com, our newest product. It is 51% off out of the gates. Normally $34.95. It is $17.76, declaring independence against the sinus garbage and the sore throat and the burning eyes of all the dust and pollen and garbage that's out there. Pollen Block, get it and support the broadcast. Already 2 reviews, 5 stars. We've got over, 50-something thousand reviews now. Check out all the products. A bunch of them are 50% off, and those sales are going to end today as well. InfoWarsStore.com. Thanks for financing this revolution. Welcome back. I'm Alex Jones, and we've got live coverage of President Trump's first annual Fake News Awards that kicks off in 3 hours and about 13 minutes. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be having live coverage of the People's Choice. Right back to your phone calls in just a moment. We're taking quite a few of them. We're doing a pretty good job, and I want to move really quick now to get your examples of fake news, uncensored. Maybe you think we did something that was wrong. We'd love to hear from you. The toll-free number to call in is 877-789-ALEX. We got about 30 people online here, but we'll get to you, 877-789-ALEX. I want to play this clip one more time because I didn't get to all of it earlier. This is Jeff Flake. If the name fits, a flake is a flake by any other name. A rose is a rose by any other name. Continuing, really, the theme of the last 2 years of fake news, Russian collusion. I think that's the big fake news. I think that's what's going to win. And then you got to say, but what area saying that they had wiretapped the president, then saying they had proof, then saying they hadn't, then leaking, then lying about the leaking, saying that all 17 agencies said Russia stole the election when none of them said it. What happened with, of course, General Flynn saying, oh, we got to play that Behar clip later, where she's like, oh, look, it's come out, ABC News. He admits they're all Russian agents. It's incredible devastation. He's going to testify. Perry Mason moment. Trump's going to jail. They're all going to prison. Yay, yay. And the media all said that. They're going to prison. That's it. The Morning Joe, you're going to jail. Clearly, Russiagate has been the fake news. And the attempt to block the recovery has been a big part. And trying to steal the election and using fake polls and misquoting the president and saying the president's racist. All of it goes together. But Flake, you noticed yesterday, is attacking the president because he knows that he is about to have the fake news awards, saying criticizing the lying fake media back is like Stalin. It's authoritarian. No. Having fake media lie about people owned by foreign corporations is authoritarian, and laying down to it is what they want. The president criticizing media is not shutting media down. It's Obama and Hillary that wanted to shut down talk radio, wanted to use the Federal Elections Commission and the Federal Trade Commission in hearings, saying shut Infowars down. They're the ones that are authoritarian. They're the ones that ideologically, in the blue blood Republican and Democratic Party, that want communism for the general public. They're the ones backing authoritarianism. They're the ones. So again, more fake news from Jeff leaving the Senate because he's a loser. Flake. Here it is.
It is a testament to the condition of our democracy that our own president uses words infamously spoken by Joseph Stalin to describe his enemies. It bears noting that so fraught with malice was the phrase enemy of the people that even Nikita Khrushchev forbade its use, telling the Soviet Communist Party that the phrase had been introduced by Stalin for the purpose of...
Pause again. We the people is on the Declaration of Independence in the preamble. It's in the Magna Carta from 1215, Battle of Runnymede. Because communists use that term, oh, now we can't. You see? You see the deception? Everything he says is a lie. Continue, sorry.
Annihilating such individuals, unquote, who disagreed with the supreme leader. This alone should be the source of great shame for us in this body.
Okay, pause again. The great leader. President Trump was elected. President Trump's a populist. Stalin was the opposite. Again, it's this narrative that he's a Russian. That's why they do this. Continue.
Especially for those of us in the president's party, for they are shameful, repulsive statements. And of course, the president has it precisely backward. Despotism is the enemy of the people. The free press is the despot's enemy, which makes the free press the guardian of democracy.
All right, pause again. State-run, global run, just like Hitler had a press that was run. And Stalin had a press. The idea that a press in general is the best thing since sliced bread. No, not when it's an authoritarian lying press. I mean, let it be there. We're not saying take it away from them. But again, he's inverting reality. Let's continue.
When a figure in power reflexively calls any press that doesn't suit him fake news, it is that person who should be the
Let's hit pause again. CNN invented or brought into use fake news and then put it on myself, Trump, and others. And the public just simply said the shoe fits on you. So they want to slug you in the face. They want to dish it out, but they can't take it. Go back.
Not the press. I dare say that anyone who has had the privilege and awesome responsibility to serve in this chamber knows that these reflexive slurs of fake news are dubious at best. Those of us who travel overseas, especially to war zones and other troubled areas all around the globe, encounter members of
pause again. Oh, like Brian Williams that said he got shot down in a helicopter like Hillary said she did? All lies? Oh, now we're against the troops, you see. I mean, who writes this crap? Let's continue.
Media who risk their lives and sometimes lose their lives reporting on the truth. To dismiss their work as fake news is an affront to their commitment and their sacrifice.
Okay. So Trump always says there's some good reporters at the New York Times or CNN, and he always differentiates. But see, they lie. We're live right now, folks, breaking all their lies down. Let's go right back to your calls. Natasha, you're on the air calling in from Arizona. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, my wife, she was just super nervous. She wants to talk to you, but she's all nervous. So
no. Don't let her be nervous. Just give her the phone. Go ahead.
Well, she wants me to talk, but this is from both of us. Our fake news award goes to Fake Tapper of CNN. It's the interview with John Brennan and Eric Clapper, and they pretty much call out the president for saying that he's colluded with the Russians. So
that's right. You're talking about the one where they said 17 agencies unanimously told us, and it was all a complete lie.
It is Fake Tapper, CNN. He's our nomination, Fake Tapper. So.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, Jake Tapper is right up there with Brian Stelter when it comes to truly deceptive evil people. Thank you, husband of Natasha. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, thank you for holding her on the air.
Yes, well, I know they're not mainstream media, but they have a big platform. They are constantly trying to demonize other platforms to make themselves look better than anybody else. They've lied about you and Mr. Stone at the convention. They constantly push the narrative against our honorable president that he's racist because he wants to know who's entering this country from other war-torn countries. I can go on and on and on, but there's other callers, so I nominate the Young Turks.
Well, you're absolutely right. They are state-funded by Gulf states, by Gulf dictatorships. They are force-fed by Google, that's anti-free market, and they are a pack of liars, in my view, and they are constantly caught in all sorts of behavior. And then the Young Turk leader wrote that he believes women are genetically insufficient and have genetic problems, a classic Islamic view, and he names himself after the group that carried out the extermination of 1.5 million Christian Armenians. What do you make of that?
That's what it's against Christians. That's another example. Like I said, I can go on and on and on. But instead of trying to demonize these other medias like you, Drudge, Veritas, they want to demonize them. They want to be number one. Instead of trying to pull them together like you all do for a greater good for this country, they want to destroy it. It's like a globalist. They put the globalist agenda just as bad as anybody else out there does.
No, I agree. They're probably, well, that would be an award of who's the worst. Like, not just who's the biggest liars, but who's the nastiest? Who's the most arrogant, saying women are subhuman and Armenian genocide didn't happen, but we name ourselves after the group, and saying anybody that calls somebody fat should be arrested, and screaming, I'm a big fat piece of garbage. And then saying Roger Stone tried to storm the stage and imply that he broke into their warehouse when it was a public area for press that was let in. And Stone did not try to get on their stage. So, yes, they are. And then they spit in my face and everything else and said that I did that. And then they had YouTube delete our video within minutes. They were on the YouTube stage. I made a big deal about it, and they put it back up. That's the control, just like Twitter gets in your personal stuff. The Young Turks literally are jacked into Google. They're just, but again, how do you think? This guy thinks he's better than you, okay? He thinks he's going to capture your country. He thinks he runs you. But guess what, my friend? He doesn't anymore, does he, Steve?
That's right. Well, you hit it on the nail head there. You take a veteran, I'll guarantee if a veteran sit down, well, I'm a veteran. If they sit down and watch that show, they would absolutely get angry.
Well, I know this. I saw them with Dinesh D'Souza, who got put in jail for 9 months for getting his friends to make political contributions and didn't write the right paperwork. It was totally legal. Didn't follow the right paperwork. Hillary got billions in illegal stuff. And when he debated Dinesh D'Souza, the left and everybody in the room agreed and said, you need to go to prison. You're a criminal. They're like, basically, you didn't go to jail long enough, and then they defended Hillary. I mean, that's monstrous pig creatures who want to put a director in prison because he's as big as Michael Moore and he's conservative. Think about that. These are dangerous people that want to shut down our free speech. Stay with us. Hour number 3 straight ahead. Spread the live links. That's how we defeat the globalist. We are getting the nominations right now for the People's Choice Fake News Awards 2017. And, of course, we're less than a month into the new year. We're only a few days out, 2.5 days out from the first anniversary of the inauguration of the really spectacular POTUS. The whole thing is just even more delicious. And if you know behind the scenes how the president makes fun of himself and the orange hair and everything, and the sense of humor and the doggedness to defeat the globalists and defeat them by bringing in prosperity and justice and the total commitment. They call that mental illness because he doesn't want to dominate the average person. He wants to dominate globalists, which is what a man really should want to do, is stand up for people. Doesn't mean he's perfect, but he has a soft spot for the average American and seen us screwed over, and he's turning things around because it was artificially done. You're holding somebody underwater, folks. You let them come up, they'll come up, just like a beach ball. And Trump is letting the beach ball come up, and they are crapping their britches because they're going to go to prison. They know as the dominoes fall, it's going to get worse. That's why they're fighting for their lives. That's why Phil Mudd's on TV from the CIA saying, we're going to kill the president. Good luck there, scumbag. All right, so this is a short segment, long segment coming up. I want to go to the calls now in the order of who's been holding the longest. Who's been holding the longest here? That'd be James in Florida. And we'll go to Chris, and we'll go to Frank, and we'll go to Jason and everybody else in order here. Let's go ahead. What is your nomination, James?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to you and your crew.
Thank you.
You guys are outstanding. I have been listening now for a year and a half or so. Opened my eyes to a whole new world of things, and I appreciate that.
We appreciate you, brother.
Being a vet, it means a lot to know you guys are out there, and there's more of us out there fighting for this freedom. All right, the dossier is my nomination for fake news. I was going to say Fusion GPS, but then I realized it's a news organization we need, so I came up with CNN, Brian Stelter especially.
Does Brian Stelter disgust you?
I would say when I see him, I get bouts of stomach pains. His face to me looks like I don't know. I don't even want to go there.
Exactly. Yeah. We know what he looks like. and it's, they don't know. We don't see him. How could anybody look at that and then hear what comes out of his mouth? You would never turn your back on him.
All I know is if my kid ever went to a van, an ice cream van, and he was driving, yeah, there would be things happening in a not so good way for him.
Oh, boy. It's incredible. But we're going to get these fleas off our back. James, I think that's a great point, and I appreciate you holding. I think a picture is appearing that the dossier and CNN promoting it. I mean, it came out of BuzzFeed, but it's emerging that CNN really is public enemy number one. People aren't even saying MSNBC. It's CNN, 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 CNN. Humpty Dumpty, Brian Stelter. So thank you so much. I appreciate your call. Anything else?
I just want to say that I just started taking your Alpha Power a couple of weeks ago, and amazing. It's doing some good things for me.
Was it as strong as I said? Because it varies person to person.
Well, yeah, I was actually hearing what you said, and I was a little nervous to take it at first, but it didn't affect me like it seems to have affected you. I have really bad soft tissue issues in my knees, and it seems to actually be helping that. And I feel stronger. I'm 41 years old, so it's definitely given me more of a life back.
Well, people ask, why do we have Anthroplex? Why do we have Super Male? Why do we have Alpha Power? They're all different formulations, and they work different for different people. I mean, that's like different brands of coffee, different brands of whiskey. I mean, I'm not complaining to whiskey, but you know, they're different brands of car. Some people like a Dodge, people like a Ford, some people like a Toyota. But yeah, I know this. The formulations are very, very strong. So you're probably already pretty naturally amped up. If you've not been amped up, that's when you really, really feel it in the libido area. Thank you, sir. You are dead smack right in the middle of the resistance right now. You know, George Soros and the mainstream media and the big mega corporations and Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, they're now calling themselves the resistance to what we're doing. And the Davos group is just getting ready to meet the head of the Davos group. Story's up on Infowars.com right now. A Nobel Prize winner has come out and said Trump is leading a global insurrection of populist nationalism, threatening global governance. And if he is able to convert the nation states into their own economic system, we are finished. Just like they said, if Hillary loses, it's the big domino. There may be no way to reverse our new world order. That's in the high-level globalist trade publications. That's what's so frustrating for me is they come right out, folks, and say they're going to set up a one-world government, actuary everything to make humans obsolete, then make you get sterilized at first just to get government welfare, but everybody's going to be basically on it. They're going to say everybody's dependent. They're going to make you dependent. And then they're just going to phase you out. And that's the end of humanity. People are like, that's crazy, Jones. Well, Elon Musk comes out and says it word for word because it's what they're doing. Elon Musk, Bill Joy, only a few other billionaire tech heads are warning you. I mean, John Harmon, my oldest producer, still does some work for us. John Harmon was there when Rothkopf, head of the Kissinger Group, offered me, a deal to come work for them. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't an off-the-record offer. They just blurted it out, so I talk about it. The other offers, if it's off-record and it's not criminal, I don't talk about off-the-record offers from big companies. But I was offered Glenn Beck's job 1 year before I ever heard his name. They said, I want you to move to L.A. or New York, maybe D.C. You will get $1.5 million a year. There will be producers, and you will do what they say when they say. We will have editorial control, but you're going to be a star. And I heard this from local people right up to national. You want to be a star? Or do you want to continue to be on this failed crusade? And then the money went up to $10 million a year. Book deals. And they said, listen, you'll probably have a show on Fox. There'll be book deals, imprint deals. They were looking for their Glenn Beck. Because they could see where the future was going and what we were trailblazing and what Drudge was trailblazing, what Ron Paul was trailblazing. And they could see there was going to be a movement against this, but they thought, we'll just buy it up. Guess what? I didn't take your Benjamin's baby. I didn't take the safe path to curl up under your evil wings and let you vomit into my mouth like I was an evil baby bird, stolen loot you got from other people. I'm my own man. We've got to come back in the next segment with Elvis's My Way. Because that's what America's all about. It isn't about how rich you are, how cool you are, some big fancy pants thing. It's about what you do as a rugged individualist. And I'm not saying I'm the perfect person, but man, a global diabolical plan for world authoritarianism. I grew up reading about, World War II and my grandpa's in it and everything. And that's what bad guys do. We're going to kick their butt. Doesn't mean America's perfect either, but, I wasn't going to go along with this. And that's all we're doing. And we are changing the world. And they admit we're right. And they fear us, the globalists, the Democrats on the Democratic side of the aisle at the House Intelligence and the Senate Intelligence and the House Armed Services Committee and the Telecommunications Committees. They're in there saying, we want Alex Jones shut down. We want Paul Watson shut down. Should I play the videos again? 4 hearings in the last year. Other people don't get named. Other than Drudge. They say, we want the Federal Elections Commission or the Federal Trade Commission to shut him down. They have FCC hearings where you got half the commission calling for it. But the chairman's got a power to veto if it's not a clear majority. We're that close to them shutting us down and sending federal regulators in here to shut the lights off, okay? And then they got Flake up there on television with the nerve to point his finger at Trump and say he criticizes the press. He's a dictator for calling it fake news when they say horrible lies about him and unnamed sources. President Trump, if he defends himself against this darling of the globalists, this follower, this little boy. Yeah, Flake is a flake. He took the money. And it's still never going to change the fact that his soul's crooked, just like that nose is. He looks like he got hit in the side of the head with a shovel. I don't usually attack them for how they look. It's just, you can't help it. I guess, looks like a directional sign or something. That's trolling the media. That'll get picked up. Jones makes fun of Jeff Flake's nose. No, Jeff Flake is a toadying, sycophantic sophist, because he doesn't come up with his own stuff. Back with the Russian narrative. Now, Trump isn't in the back pocket or isn't the you-know-what holster, as Stephen Colbert said, of Putin. No, no, no. He is Stalin. Okay, let's go to your calls. Frank, I got to go quick now. I'm sorry. We're going to break here in a minute. Frank in North Carolina, thanks for holding so long. I think it's emerging that Russiagate and the dossiers yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alec, I just have to say something, man. It seems like every time I turn on your broadcast, you're bragging. It just gets old, man.
I'm going to shut you down right now, okay? We're taking calls about your nomination. Do you understand they're having congressional hearings trying to shut us down? Behind the scenes, they've sued me now 8 times. They're trying to shut us down. They're having congressional hearings saying shut us down. If that was happening to anybody else, I'd be freaked out. Do you understand? I'm ringing the alarm. It's like saying Colonel Travis at the Alamo sending a letter saying we need help is bragging. I mean, what's it going to take? Us being shut down? Is that what you want, Frank?
You know what, Alex?
Hey, I put him on pause again. Hey, Frank, I just talked about Drudge, too. They are one vote away. They called for criminal charges against me at the Federal Elections Commission and the Federal Trade Commission, and I'm under FBI espionage investigation for working with Russia. That's not, I didn't do that. Do you understand it's not bragging to say we are the tip of the spear, we're under attack, we need your help? As much begging as I do, we can barely pay the bills and grow in the face of this. I'm not going to just stop growth and let them start pushing us backwards. You understand? I need your help, Frank. I need your help, Frank. They're censoring us. They're blocking our advertising. They're blowing us up. Do you understand? I need your help, Frank. Free press needs your help, Frank. So I'm sorry if I'm mad at you, man, but it ain't bragging, bro. It's asking for help. Do you understand that?
You keep saying they. Who is they?
Congressman Quigley, the Board of Governors of the FCC. You can pull up their names. You can pull them up. Hold on. You've been calling in for 10 years or so. I probably played these clips 30 times the last few months. You want me to play them again, or are you saying they aren't real?
I'm saying you'll never talk about who they are.
Powerful global corporations that have hijacked this country.
How come almost all of them are Jewish?
Oh, well, then why is Matt Drudge they're trying to shut down who's Jewish?
Well, I mean, There are a few things.
Why are they trying to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, and why is Netanyahu trying to back an American recovery right now?
I don't buy that at all. That's some kind of inside. That's some kind of inside fight going on there.
Frank, I wanted to know what you think. Because if I let you do this and everybody will do it, so we're actually getting to some calls today, Frank. But I want to hear your fake news awards. You want to give it to me, that's fine. But let's come back and I'll give you 60 seconds. Unbelievable. I'm Alex Jones, your host. We're right in the middle of the People's Choice Fake News Awards 2017. The president, 7 days ago, punted and moved the awards ceremony back to today at 4 p.m. Central. Now, we don't know because New York Daily News is fake news most of the time. They've written incredible lies about yours truly. But knowing the White House, they're trying to keep the president from speaking. They're trying to keep him intimidated. Not saying Sanders is, but a lot of them are. Because Jeff Flake came out and said the president, if he has an award ceremony pointing out lies of the media, why, that's Stalin. And so New York Daily News says, after Jeff Flake's powerful speech that no one even attended in the Senate hall, it looks like Trump may cancel it. Yes, fake news awards, this is probably fake news, absent from Trump's White House schedule, dismissed as potential event. President Trump's so-called fake news awards were up in the air on the eve of the bizarre celebration. Oh, the bizarre celebration of journalists at odds with the White House rhetoric. No, it's showing how you're liars, showing where you did it, showing how you're wrong, showing how your Russian narrative fell apart into total lies. When asked about the ceremony Tuesday afternoon, Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders dismissed Trump's awards as a potential event. By nightfall, the mysterious awards are absent from the president's public schedule today. Sanders told White House reporters she would divulge details of the awards at an unspecified time. So we don't know, because the president always does what he says unless they try to block it. He initially scheduled the awards January 8th before pushing back the event to January 17th. Senator Jeff Flake has planned a Senate floor speech, which he did. Okay, so let's just go to the search engine, type in fake news awards, and let's see what the very latest is for me. Thank you. But it doesn't matter, because you're calling in with your fake news awards, and we've got the cash prizes coming up, and we're going to go right through and do it ourselves. See how that happens? One way or another. I'm going to get you one way or another. Not going away, not stopping. And they fight to keep him from his fireside chats. They fight to keep him from going out and giving speeches. They fight to keep him off his Twitter, because all the media tells them, don't do that and we'll be nice to you. Just like in Saving Private Ryan, where the soldier convinces the guy to stop fighting and then he gets to stab him. No, we're not going to stop. We're going to go on to the end, whatever the cost may be. All right, Frank, go ahead and finish your point. North Carolina.
Yeah, thanks for the 60 seconds, Alex. The obvious longest-running fake news story of 2017 for me is Russiagate. But I got to say, though, if any foreign state has a criminal level of influence over U.S. elections, it's Israel. That's the deep state. It's Zog. It's Israel and its agents in the media of the United States, the mainstream media, and in the government. They're the ones that have the criminal level of influence over our elections, not Russia. And you know, it's funny, all these Jews were fine with Russia and the communism and all that. Hell, Bernie Sanders took his wife there for their honeymoon, because that's where he felt most comfortable. I don't understand why all these young Americans think Bernie Sanders is some big hero. He's a freaking commie.
All right. I appreciate your call. Here's the deal. Israel is a diverse political system. There is clearly an Israel lobby that is heavily involved getting our defense secrets and selling it to China. I've had guests on even last week about that. It's a serious issue. My problem with the anti-Israel crowd is it's so tunnel visioned and never talks about anything else. This is breaking news. Infowars.com, Project Veritas, new video. We told you it was coming. James O'Keefe exposes Twitter ban users pressured from the communist Chinese government. That video is coming up after I take more calls. And then we have the article from the Washington Post finally telling the truth a few days ago, where they come out and admit that major universities have basically been taken over by the Chinese communist government. Let me tell you who took over Hollywood, the communist Chinese. Let me tell you who took over a lot of the Fortune 100, the communist Chinese. Let me tell you who's got 97% of rare earth minerals, the communist Chinese. Let me tell you who the biggest group of immigrants are here now. Chinese women to have their babies for free. China is screwing us so hard it makes my head spin. And the anti-Israel crowd would have a lot more credibility with me if they talked about the commie Pope pushing world government, or they talked about the communist Chinese, or any of that. But it's always the same thing, man. And then they attribute magical powers to Jews, and then I'm run by Jews and all this other stuff. And then I volunteer things, like my ex-wife's mother was half Jewish. And it turns into, and my ex-wife doesn't practice Judaism, she's a Christian. And then I'm supposedly, going to go to Israel because I work for them and I'm a Jewish person and all this. It's just crazy. If I was Jewish, I'd be proud of it. But it's just craziness, man. And then they were like, look at my sponsors and go, that's a Jew, that's a Jew. And almost none of them were even Jewish. But if they had a German last name, they were all Jews. It's the craziest. The Nazis say Jones is a Jewish last name. I guess there have been Jews before that have taken that name. But, I mean, it's just mental illness, and I'm not into it. I'm not against the Chinese people. People say, oh, you're against Chinese. You're against the communist Chinese. No, I'm against Chinese that are out of control. Chinese government. But, I mean, it's China. China. And has Israel, to some extent, sold us out to China? You bet your boots Israel has. And so is our own government. It's wrong. But it doesn't mean I'm foaming at the mouth. And I get the leftist press calling me anti-Semite all the time. And if I criticize George Soros for being a Nazi collaborator, they say it's anti-Semitic. It's a joke. I get the left beats people over the head with that. I get there's a lot of arrogant folks in Hollywood, that they're doing stuff, but it is not the whole shooting match there, brother. Yeah, there's an article. Chinese buying up large chunks of land across America. They own the majority of our debt. On and on and on. Are people like Lloyd Blankfein, though, cheerleading against America? In communist China saying, you'll never come back, America. We're investing in China. Yeah. So is Lloyd Blankfein saying he's anti-American? Absolutely. So, we just report the facts here, ladies and gentlemen. And I want a big tent for people that are non-radical Islamists, Jews, Christians, agnostics, atheists, animists, whatever. Just people, if you want free market, I like it. If you want to have a free society, I like it. Speaking of free society, we're funded by listeners and viewers like you. The network, has some sponsors and some of that stuff, but that wouldn't finance what we've built here. So again, InfowarsLife.com, InfowarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. We had 60-plus things, a few weeks ago for 50% off, but most of them sold out. But our best sellers are still in because we order so much of it, but they're getting close. 50% off Secret 12, the highest quality vitamin B12 from our research. Third-party groups tested and said it's the best out there. Survival Shield X2, super incredible and important, 50% off. Real Vitality, 50% off. Pollen Block, our latest product, patented, secret, proprietary, documented system to battle, all these seasonal irritants and problems of the dust and the sinus and all that. It's Japanese quail fed a special secret diet, and it is the concentrated quail eggs, and it's amazing for me personally. Nothing's ever worked this good, and I've got serious allergy issues. Pollen Block now available. Seasonal discomfort support at InfowarsLive.com, 51% off. It's $17.76. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, we are back live. Look, remember a week and a half ago, Trump was lying. He was going to bring in DACA and legalize 40 million people and let people bring in their 14th cousins, and he was a total fraudster and evil, and none of that was true. The DACA was not reasonable. It wasn't what he said during the campaign trail of vetted people that have been there for a long time, that are contributing members of society. You can't bring in, even your first cousins. You just bring in direct family. He was trying to do something more reasonable. Give those folks a path, not direct, instant, like Obama was doing, just totally opening the borders. And they said on the conservative news and the fake news, the mainstream news, they said that he had betrayed everybody, and then he didn't. But this is a little more ominous because we haven't heard anything from Sarah Huckabee Sanders yesterday or today. She said it's a potential event. It was going to be held at 4 o'clock today. That's in like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 25 minutes. And now they're saying, well, maybe he's going to cancel it because Jeff Flake said he's like Stalin if he attacks the news, and this isn't very presidential. If that's the case, whoever's advising the president is an idiot. Because you can see where this is going. They're going to say the fake news is that he said he was going to have fake news awards. They're not going to say, oh, look, he was a nice guy. They're going to say he couldn't even find any fake news. He couldn't even come up with anything because we've never made a mistake and we've never lied, even though it's in all the WikiLeaks that we lie to you on purpose every day. So you think about that. Trump's fake news awards are shaping up to be a total flop, says the fake news king's Jeff Bezos owned Washington Post. Finally, the fake news awards. Here's how Trump can win big or lose bigly. That's out of Forbes. Are the fake news awards just fake news? Trump White House teased Wednesday's ceremony for weeks, but now it's just a potential event. Trump met with the New York Times, 2-3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago in Mar-a-Lago, and said, we're going to make a deal. Let's work together for the betterment of the country. Let's have that honeymoon period you normally get the first 200 days that this president never got. Come on, admit you're beaten. It's hurting you politically to keep coming after me. The stock market's back. Black unemployment's the lowest ever. We're taking care of the veterans, on and on and on, increasing their pay. Can you just... And they reportedly, as I said back then, said, we've capitulated. You're right. We're going to stop. And it's all lies. They've stopped nothing. Nothing. So who knows if this is true out of the likes of the Washington Post and New York Daily News and the rest of it. I mean, who knows? Because New York Daily News says that I say that there's Martian bases with slave children. There's no video, there's no audio, I never wrote it. It's total. I mean, it's like saying New York Daily News says there's Martian slave children. It's not true either. So they're a pack of lying scum. Does it mean they tell the truth? Sometimes fine, but here's the deal. We're doing the fake news awards. The People's Choice, taking your phone calls, collating them right up to 4 today. And if he doesn't have that press conference, I know they got a bunch of clips lined up of the big lies of 2017. We're going to play those clips, talk about your nominations, have the award, $2,000 first place, $1,000 second place, set of steak knives third place, to have fun pointing out the lies that they hope you forget about. That's why this is so critical. It's why they hate it. And if Trump doesn't do this, it could be because there's some secret North Korean nuke strike test about to happen. And they said, sir, it's too serious. You know, we can't do that today. And I'm telling you, if that's what it is, if Trump isn't doing this, it's because of too serious stuff's been going on. And they're coming to him saying, sir, we need you in the Situation Room. Because that's how they're managing him. But he's so used to stress and staying up 18 hours a day, he's able to handle it. Okay, bam, 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 we're going to your calls now. I want to go to all these calls for the hour ends. Who's been holding? Jason the longest, then John, Chris, Mad, Christian, Kevin, and then Mike. I'm getting to all of you first right now. Jason, thanks for holding. You're a trooper from California. Thank you for holding.
Alex, it's a privilege. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, brother.
The biggest fake news story has got to be that President Trump is a racist. This is pushed by all the fake news networks, but I would have to say that Don Lemon and CNN has got to be the worst. He has no remorse for his race-baiting lies. And I want you to think about before he announced his intention to run, there was no hint of any racism from him. His golf courses were some of the first to be inclusive. His friends and celebrities were of all races and all backgrounds. He had that woman, that homeless woman living in Trump Tower that many didn't talk about. How about Haiti? We just found out that he helped Rand Paul go to Haiti to give vision to a bunch of children down there. But from the very beginning, in his very first announcement, they misquoted his words to say that all Mexicans were killers and rapists. But anyone could go to the video and see for themselves that that was not what he said. But they still pushed it, and they still do today.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. What about the lowest black unemployment ever recorded in less than 1 year? That is miraculous.
Oh, they can't keep up with what he's getting done. It's you go back to a year ago and what we were hoping he would get through. You remember we would say if he gets 15% of this push, then that's a success. I think he's way past that already in his first year.
You're right, Jason. We're going to put you on hold and get your info because you're in the running for nominating one of the key proven fake news stories. So that's not number one, that's number two. But we'll see. Let's keep talking to everybody. Thank you, Jason. Let's go to John in Ohio. Thank you for holding so patiently, John.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going out?
Good, brother.
I don't know if it's a story. I don't think it's... I'm going to go with the DNC staffer, Seth Rich.
Oh, sure, and how they said that, he didn't really work for us, or he wasn't murdered, he was shot in the back, but it was no big deal, and he's not the leaker, but WikiLeaks basically says it is.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, though, said it's basically been proven that, the information was leaked, not hacked by Russia. And, that's basically I've heard Russia all night about how that's one of the top stories. Well, I mean, I think... No,
you're right again. Russiagate is what 90% of people are saying, and I tend to agree. And then inside of Russiagate, what particular news item was the most fake? And you're saying the fact that they said it was a Russian hack when the evidence shows now, top forensic experts, former head of the NSA and others, say it was an inside job.
Yeah, it's been proven that it was a leaked document, physically leaked, from a USB drive or something like that. It wasn't a hack. Russia didn't hack.
Sure, and that's a big part of the Russiagate. Let's put you in the running within the whole Russiagate situation. And again, people, we know Russiagate's fake. We're bringing all this up to remember all the things they lied about so that they know we're watching. They hate this more than anything. This is what they count on us not doing. Great points. Okay, who's up next here? Let's go to Chris in Virginia. Chris, you're on the air. Hey, Chris in Virginia, welcome.
Yeah, I was going to go with Fusion GPS, but I had to think about it in terms of the spirit of fake news, so I went with BuzzFeed because in the end of the day, BuzzFeed are probably just going to lose money. Other people, because of what they did, what we're going to find out was eventually it's going to come out in the end. Other people may go to jail behind it. BuzzFeed may get off with just losing money because they published this fake document. You know,
I personally experienced BuzzFeed tell whole lies about my custody trial with my children and work to have me lose my children. I mean, these are monstrous people.
Yeah, they're monsters, and but they're only going to lose money. We know that this stuff is made up, and look at all the stuff that's happened because of it. Trump is handicapped on foreign policy when it comes to Russia and other things around the world. Congressional hearings, investigations, blah, 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 this, that, and other. People standing up trying to scream Russia all over the place. And at the end of the day, it was from a made-up document.
Chris, don't hang up. Your points are too good. I want to come back and give you a few minutes because you're really on target. What is the damage fake news has done? We laugh about it and everything because it's important to expose it, but you're right. How much better would things be a year later if, wow, I just got chills thinking about that because I'm looking at things positively, but think about all the bad they did and all the, I'm getting chills. It makes me sick how bad these people are. They're robbing all of us of our future. Frank Sinatra, my way. And Trump is definitely doing it his way, and just the delivery is insane. And then I'm always trying to be positive because positive things are happening. But imagine what has been held up. Imagine what they have blocked. Imagine what they're getting in the way of. And imagine if they're successful, what they're going to do. That was a great point, Chris. Please continue.
I'm saying we're at a point now where Trump is, he's still getting more power of the government. And by having everybody talking about the fake news, it keeps damaging the fake news because they have to keep talking about it themselves and keep trying to stand themselves up. And they're missing the point about what Trump's doing with the economy. He put his faith in the American people and American worker, and the proof is in the pudding. More people are going back to work, and if he can figure out to get Congress to shut down immigration, or at least get it to where we want to be, we win economically, and we'll win for years. And he just got to keep exposing fake news. Like I said, BuzzFeed is going to be at one of the center of one of the worst political scandals in our lifetime. This is definitely history in the making. And there's going to be a lot of scandals coming out, but Russiagate is going to be one of the top ones to come out. And I'm just glad.
Well, I totally agree. And think about how it's gone from them denying it was a hoax to it's admitted it's a hoax, and they're running scared. And then Jeff Flake comes out from under the bottom of a rock and starts saying Trump's Stalin because he fights back. You ever notice Trump never attacks? He tries to be nice, then he fights back. And then when he fights back, they can't believe that when they call him all these horrible lies and all this horrible stuff that he talks back to them. And they actually whine and complain about it and call him Stalin and say he's shutting down the press, Chris.
Yeah, that's just, I looked at it, I bust out laughing. It was whining. You know, you're mightier than thou. You're holier than thou. I see what happens when I used to watch C-SPAN, on why they talk the way they do. Like the gentleman from this, the gentleman from that, the gentleman from this, the gentlewoman. They say that talk because the average attention span of the average person, you'll change the channel quick if you listen, and you won't pay attention to the slick stuff that they do when they try to pump across their propaganda and passing laws.
Well, sure. America was about getting rid of all the royal crown, upper class stuff. Not getting rid of manners, but getting rid of all the parlance that was to keep the average person from being involved in government. You're right. And all of that blue blood stuffed suit garbage, it isn't about parliamentary procedure. It is about how wonderful and powerful and big they are. And it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Great points, Chris. This is the People's Choice Fake News Awards, meant to build up to the president, supposedly going to go live at 4 o'clock. Can we pull up his Twitter feed and see if he said anything about it yet? We were just checking earlier, and now the media's saying, oh, it's fake news, oh, he backed off, oh, he didn't do it. The only way he'd do this is if there was some major military emergency. North Korea's about to test an atomic weapon or a hydrogen bomb or about to shoot another missile, and they said, sir, we need you in the Situation Room, you can't do it, and there's some big international thing. And that's how they actually control presidents they don't like Kennedy and other people, is they just keep crises going where they can never get their bearing. That's where Michael Moore said they'd get the president would be on foreign affairs, by blocking him internally. That's what Chris was kind of getting to earlier. Okay, who's up next? Mad Christian, thank you for holding during the People's Choice Fake News Awards 2017, because the information war goes on regardless of whether Trump arrives at 4 o'clock or not, but I wouldn't count him out yet. Go ahead, Mad Christian.
Alex Jones, ladies and gentlemen, and snowflakes all alike. I can't just come up with one, Alex. There's so many. I've got 10 myself. I can go through them in 30 seconds.
Do it.
They're in no particular order because that would be racist. But let's start off with Congresswoman Wilson, who said that Trump's phone call to the widow was, disrespectful, and that came out to be fake news.
Oh yeah. Who's the CNN reporter that said that Trump didn't visit Scalise?
Not sure.
Which one was that? I always forget his name. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, we had Brian Ross reporting that Mike Flynn was instructed to contact the Russians during the campaign. Okay. One of the big ones to me was Yahoo published a AP report that President threatened to invade Russia.
I remember that.
On January 26th, we had the Washington Post said that the entire State Department had resigned. And then we have stupid ones like Dana Schwartz, who tweeted about Trump's hands and that they were photoshopped. The Martin Luther King bus being moved. The Detroit reported that a local businessman flew to Iraq for his sick mother, and while there, she died because she couldn't get back to get medical treatment because of the quote-unquote Muslim ban.
Sir, you are awesome. This is what I wanted to do today. Are you reading off a news article or a list of the mainstream media's lies in 2017? Or do you just have a memory that's good? Because I remember this. And also remember last week, they said that a bunch of our ambassadors to Africa and Haiti resigned, and none of that was true. They're always trying to create these hoaxes.
Oh, another one. Remember this one? The Guardian stated that rumor that transgender teenagers were committing suicide at such a high rate because of Trump's election.
Yep.
And it just goes on and on and on with these people. But the dossier is probably the big one.
Well, you're in the running. We're going to put you on hold and put you in the running for the contest. I don't know what to say about you're just for your shotgun effect of just exactly. And I just forget these. They're back there talking about the lies too. And everybody needs to think about this so we remember what scum we're dealing with, and then call into C-SPAN, call into talk radio. Just tell folks about their lies. Remind people about the lies. That's what burns them. And then we should talk about Infowars, not bragging. How much have we talked about? That's a whole other show that turned out to be accurate. How much did we predict that was dead on, brother? Quite a bit. We're going to put Mad Christian on hold. I think Mad Christian ought to be one of the guys. I want to launch a show soon, and I'm doing it. So put their name on the board, phone numbers in a file. So we do it, then I forget, then I go, where's their names? This fella, whoever. I want listeners that are interesting. Black, white, old, young. I want to do a show with men. I want to do a show with women, where it's people on the phone, people on Skype, people here, and we have these big roundtable discussions with our listeners, commercial-free for hours. I want to put our listeners on air. And you're all great callers. I mean, the guy before that, I should have got his name and number. It's going to be exciting. And you're like, well, that's kind of what callers are, Alex. I know, but the particular callers that kind of then lead the other callers in taking the calls. Mad Christian, and we got you on hold. We're going to go to Kevin, and we're going to go to everybody else that's been holding right when we come back. Boom, boom, boom. Mike is up next as well. Again, just briefly, we had free shipping. We had it for almost a month. We had to get rid of it. I don't get $1.48 like Bezos does of taxpayer money, and it's basically killing us doing the free shipping. But I did it. We got a lot of orders. People supported us, but the free shipping's gone, but it's still very low price. But we still got 50% off on Secret 12, X2, Super Male Vitality, and 4 other products. That's got to end, okay? Because and we've got the new pollen block from the Japanese quail eggs fed a special diet in France. Very, very proprietary, known to really help with seasonal discomfort and the dust and the pollen and those issues. It's very well documented. Go read about it yourself at InfoWarsLive.com. This is our newest product, pollen block, seasonal discomfort support. InfowarsLive.com. It's a great deal at $34.95, but it's 51% off right now. That's a typo where we say 50. It's 51%. It's $17.76. Promotes healthy sinus function, optimizes respiratory wellness, clinically studied ingredient. It's got one ingredient, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Japanese quail egg concentrate. 84 milligrams, what they found in the studies, is the exact amount you need. InfowarsLive.com, InfowarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. You owe it to yourself, your children, your family. It's totally healthy. It's just a high-quality special food product. It is pollen block, the Japanese quail egg special diet. InfowarsLife.com. Roger Stone's coming up, riding shotgun, and the war room kicks off, and Trump supposedly is going to have this fake news award. I mean, he's the guy that delivers. He's the guy that keeps his promises. Even mainstream media has to admit that now. They got their big fake news. He's racist with the lowest black unemployment ever recorded. That's old news that's in 17 years. Now it's ever recorded since Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it's good numbers for everybody if you want to work. Problem is a lot of millennials, I don't care what color they are lazy. So there's CNBC, record low black unemployment. And, you know, I'm all for that type of affirmative action where these deindustrialized urban areas, you know, in the Rust Belt, Trump is incentivizing companies to move there. And they're incentivizing folks to, I mean, that's like the White House. Kelly said, listen, we're not getting a lot of resumes for women and minorities. He said, you're qualified, you're getting a job, and you do a good job, you're going to be in charge. And that's how Trump operates. So I got all the awards for women's groups, gay groups, African-American groups, because he opened up golf courses. You can believe this, 35, 40 years ago, this was still going on, that no blacks were allowed at. That's just amazing. Or Jews. You know, there's this whole thing that Jews run everything, and then there was at least golf courses just 20, 30 years ago when it stopped that Jews couldn't go to. But, I mean, those blue blood things are so elitist. It's just unbelievable. The point is that everything you hear about Trump is not true. And it's not some butt-kissing contest here. It's, like Stephen Colbert said, I know that the Trump's genitals aren't small because I'm too busy kissing his butt all day. You know what? I'm trying to have prosperity and freedom, and I guess I'm kissing the truth's butt. And, you know, Colbert says that Trump's mouth is the you-know-what holster for Vladimir Putin's genitals. That's all funny to him. And I just simply say, why? Because the media attacked Trump's genitals and said he said big red button because he has small genitals. Remember all that? And then they took it out of context like I was just bringing up his genitals. And I get it. It makes it funny, but it's all lies. They didn't take what I said to make it funny. They edited it to make it funny. They made it look like he's crazy, just out of the blue going, I got a big red button and I got powerful nukes. Kim Jong-un said, we're going to nuke you. We're going to first strike you. We got a red button on my desk. And Trump said, well, we got a bigger red button and ours works. And it brought North Korea to the table. So that's all coming up. We're going to take your calls with Roger Stone. He loves taking calls. But I tell you what, a cliffhanger. They're now going to say Trump choked. Trump backed off on the fake news awards. He could be baiting them like a few weeks ago. Then he moves it again, and they go, oh, you're scared. Oh, you're not going to do it. He's either baiting them so that it's really big when he has it. He knows they'll say he choked or he's scared when it's such a great extravaganza. Or what I think has happened if he doesn't go live at 4, there's a big crisis with North Korea or the Middle East right now, and he's in a situation room in the bunker. And he's been pretty quiet on Twitter. Let's pull up his Twitter, let's put the president's Twitter on screen. Yeah, no tweeting for a while. 21 hours, 7 hours, Eric Trump on Fox and Friends. That went out this morning. Let's scroll down. And 21 hours ago, executive order protecting nation from foreign terrorists. And if you scroll down, new report on DOJ, DHS, 3 and 4 individuals convicted of terrorism-related charges are foreign-born. They have submitted to Congress a list of resources and reforms. Got to stop bringing in terrorists. Today is my honor to welcome President of Kyrgyzstan. Okay, so nothing, really nothing substantive in 24 hours. So, yeah, the president's gone dark. He's either trolling them and is going to show up at like 4:30 late after it reaches fever pitch to punk them, or there's a national security crisis going on. You can bet your bucks that's what's happening. And here's the good news. In the next 2.5 hours, we're going to find out, and Infowars is covering it live, unfiltered. MSM will twist whatever happens. We will be there covering it live, taking your phone calls, going over your nominations, showing video clips of the fake news. We are the People's Choice Awards, and we go on whether the president does or not. So, Kevin in Canada, Dan in Indiana, Mike in North Dakota, everybody, I'm going bam, bam, bam when we come back. Newswars.com, newswars.com. Spread that link. We are back live. I am your host, Alex Jones, co-hosting with Roger Stone. We'll be co-hosting Right Into the War Room with Owen Schroyer, Rob Dew, and many others today, because this is the People's Choice Fake News Awards, the first annual for 2017, held on Wednesday, January 17th, 2018. Now, Roger Stone, obviously former head of the Trump campaign, Trump confidant for 43 years, has given us incredible intel on what's going on with the president. He's going to break exclusive news right now on the FISA court and what happened last week in that vote and the tweets that went back and forth that were contradictory. And he's also going to get you into the mind of the president to understand how real he is. That's why they hate him. And it's not flip-flopping. It's influenced by evidence and his gut. And he's got other big breaking news. We're going to continue with your calls and your nomination for the Fake News Awards. I asked Roger during the break, I said, do you think he's trolling him? 8 days ago, canceling it or moving it back. Then today, not saying anything. They say, oh, you're scared. There's no fake news. There is a ocean of them in fake news that we've been going over. We're going to recap here. But this is just amazing. And I know you haven't talked to him in a little while, so we don't have any intel on that particularly. But I like to give people the big news right up front. There's always more big news coming. We don't like the cliffhanger folks here. They call that plant the hook in radio where you say coming up. We still say coming up because there is something coming up, but there's just coming up, coming up, coming up. We give it to you up front. So Roger Stone, my friend, let's go ahead and get into the big news you were telling me during the break.
Well, several things have happened, Alex. I, as you know, was in Washington on Monday and had an opportunity to talk to a number of my sources inside the administration. You'll recall that the president was watching Fox and Friends when he saw Judge Andrew Napolitano make a compelling case against the reauthorization of the Surveillance Act by the Congress last week, essentially re-upping the Patriot Act and the broad surveillance put in place by the Bushes after 9/11, and correctly, as Trump said, used to spy on the Trump campaign, spy on the Republican candidate for president of the United States. The president put out a very strong tweet that caused heads to explode at the NSA and in the Congress. General Kelly got Paul Ryan on the phone with the president, and they convinced him to reverse himself. Now, I learned yesterday that the president subsequently sent the message to Judge Napolitano that he agreed with him, but he felt his hands were tied. So it is yet another example of the deep staters around the president whose instincts are so unerringly good, just his gut instincts, and these quislings that are around him, I think, disserve him. It's a perfect example. The FISA authorization yesterday came very close. It had to do with the absence of John McCain, but we were within a vote or two. The greatest disappointment, Alex, is that the amendment carried by Ron Paul and Democrat Ron Wyden to the surveillance vote in the Congress that I just referred to failed narrowly. That would have required a warrant if the deep staters want to spy on an American citizen.
And let's be clear. We, under the Constitution, can spy on foreign powers, foreign individuals, but they're admittedly using it for total control. Google, Facebook, and Twitter are spying on people. They're bigger than the NSA. Twitter is basically run by the communist Chinese. That just broke. Just like Hollywood is. That's the newest Veritas bomb to drop at Infowars.com, and DrudgeReport.com has it up right now as well. The University of Texas, they caught the Chinese communists taking it over last week. That's even the Washington Post. And we have communist Chinese coming out of our ears here while they obsess over Russia all day. This is unbelievable. I mean, I've been told it is the Chinese communists. It was Michael Savage had he's always in the top 10 New York Times bestseller. They printed tens of thousands of his first book on China. Then the publisher got threatened. They would not ship it to the stores 2 years ago. So it is just massive censorship. And then Flake has the nerve to get up there and say, if the president criticizes media when they attack him, he's Stalin, and that's book burning and authoritarianism. So to have our free speech, or the president to have free speech, to talk to that, I mean, if I was going to have somebody cast to play a loan shark or a criminal in a movie, I'd hire Jeff Flake. I mean, he comes off like a serious serial killer or bank robber. I mean, I'm sorry, he just looks like one and acts like one. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, it's just sick. It's just sick to see this crap. And the more I love the president as he is embattled like a lion surrounded by hyenas, it makes me sick. The lowest black unemployment ever. The veterans getting twice as many visits now and getting privatized care. The veterans getting their biggest pay increase ever. The border 70% controlled. The 26,000 stock market. NAFTA being renegotiated. TPP pulled out of. On and on and on and on and on. Davos meeting saying they've got to stop America and Trump. And the communist president saying he'll help defeat Trump. I mean, it's insane. It's so obvious whose side he's on. What side is America? What side are these millennials? What is their problem? What don't they want? Prosperity and freedom, damn it.
You know, I must say, Alex, the Davos thing surprises me. The only reason the president should go to Davos is to announce that everyone there is under arrest. This is a conclave of international criminals and corporatists who have been feeding the deep state and the two-party duopoly. These are the globalists.
No, I agree, but I don't buy the media going, oh, look, he betrayed you. He's going to globalist meeting. He goes to the G20 and G7 and gets in their face and doesn't wear their pin.
He's going to take a victory lap. He's going to stick it up their keister. I understand Trump entirely, and I kind of like it because he's about to crash their little tea party. But continuing with the breaking news here, Alex, I have also had sources confirm for me that in the very near future, General H.R. McMaster will get his 4th star and be packed off to the Korean front to work on an upcoming activity in Korea. I'm not sure what that could be. And are you ready for the kicker? Dina Powell is pushing Condoleezza Rice to be the national security advisor in the Trump White House. Now, this was overheard at a party at Cafe Milano, a going away party for Dina Powell. Wow. Dina Powell, you'll recall, is the Arabist neocon who worked in the Bush White House, who became McMaster's right-hand henchwoman. She certainly is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a non-interventionist like the president. I believe that she was forced out for leaking, but there's going to be a serious play to try to put Condoleezza Rice back in the White House. This boggles the mind. This is the woman who is the architect of the Iraq War. I cannot believe the president will go for this, but they are going to try to sell it to him.
This is the same woman that got a call from Mayor Willie Brown, not the fly on 9/11, who worked directly with Saudi Arabia, covering up their role of the 28 pages in the September 11th attacks.
Her best friends are Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills. So what more do we need to say? Also, Joy Ann Reid. This is a cabal. Now, she is a consummate brown-noser. She's done an extraordinary job of trying to suck up to the president, and she can be very charming. There is the...
Yeah, I heard, I mean, let's get there. I mean, I heard her and W had a relationship.
I don't think that's true, actually. I think that was Al Gore's smear. I can explain that to you when we're off camera. But more importantly, the graphic we just showed was the legal Secretary of State on the right, Rex Tillerson, and on the left, the de facto Secretary of State.
Yeah, that's what you've been saying for a year. She's the shadow Secretary of State. Yes, I think that's true. And that's why we're still in Afghanistan, despite the president's correct instincts. It's time to get out of there. The big news is McMaster packed off to be the new MacArthur in the giant war with North Korea. We'll talk about that and go directly to your phone calls in the middle of the People's Choice Fake News Awards 2017. And in the next 2 hours, will the president cancel his fake news? Will he make that fake news? I don't think so, but we'll see together. Okay, folks, we're a little bit late coming back to this segment. I promise to go back to your calls and get your nominations for fake news. I want to get Roger's as well. There's so many. But big stuff behind the scenes is why I'm late getting back sometimes. Makes my head spin. A lot of big news breaking at newswars.com. A lot of news breaking at Infowars.com. One reason we have newswars.com is Twitter, Facebook, Google, and others really hate Infowars. They try to block the spread of that. But Newswars, you can slip through on them a lot easier. This is a day-by-day war. But just recapping the bombshells that you were telling me during the break, this is an exclusive, Roger, what you're about to give people. So more on this Condoleezza Rice situation. But first, on Davos, the head of Davos says Trump is leading a global rebellion against globalism with populism and admit he is their main enemy. So why would Trump travel to the foot of the seat of power of Mordor?
He's doing a victory lap. He wants to stick it up their keister. They're losing. He's winning. These are the people, Alex, who said he would never be president. These are the people who said the stock market would crash if he became president. These are the people who thought he would lose the Electoral College or a recount. They despise him because he emboldens or he embodies a reform agenda. It's not an agenda they like because it entails American sovereignty, American exceptionalism, American independence, and that's not part of their program, as you well know. So the president is going there, I think, to rub their nose in it. I love it.
We just put on screen an article from 366 days ago, one day before this last year, where the Chinese president promised to go there to prop up globalism, the Chinese dictator. Once he got there, he pledged to stop Trump and stop nationalism. Well, here we are 366 days later. That's blown up in his face spectacularly. I am so proud of supporting Trump. I am so proud with going with my gut. I am so proud of the audience. I am so proud of you, Roger.
Well, Alex, also breaking is this enormous tug of war that's going on between inside the White House, where incredibly the president's lawyers, Dowd and Ty Cobb, are urging him to grant an interview with special counsel Robert Mueller. This is the most obvious perjury trap I have ever seen. Whereas you have outside legal experts from Judge Napolitano on the right to Alan Dershowitz on the left.
No matter what the president does, he's going to say it's perjury according to the God Emperor Mueller.
There's no way in the world he should go and give these guys what they're looking for. It's all a game where they try to catch you in some little inconsistency that they can then try to conflagrate into, a firestorm. This is really not sound political advice. I really hope the president will decide to tell Mueller to pound sand. The only reason that Mueller wants to interview him is to discuss the termination of James Comey as the FBI director. That's why Steve Bannon has been subpoenaed by Mueller. That is why some of the people who
and it's their last shot. Why step on a hand grenade? Why step on a landmine that creature laid for him?
Well, not only that, the other thing that's interesting is we've now gone full cycle. This started with Comey's firing. Then we took this detour into Russian collusion. Oops, we didn't find anything. Now we're right back at James Comey. You know what it tells me? Mueller's got nothing. He's got this trumped-up process charge, as I've said for some weeks now. But it is essential that the president pour wax in his ears. He should not listen to these dummies he has as lawyers.
Absolutely. He's already gone too far bending over to this. He has the unitary executive. He has at least equal power to the other branches, and these people have no public support. They're laughing stocks. He ought to chill him out he ought to interrogate him about Fusion GPS and about, the Justice Department waiver he got to be involved with Russia, and interrogate him about Deputy Director McCabe and how he was involved fixing the fake info, and he ought to demand an apology out of his ass and videotape it. The only way you ought to have him in there is to march his ass in there in front of the carpet and chew his butt out.
I could not agree more. It would be a sight to see. As you know, the Trump Justice Department and the Trump Central Intelligence Agency are still trying to figure out how to arrest Julian Assange for the alleged crime of publishing classified documents. Yet Donald Trump's personal lawyers in the lawsuit against me and Donald Trump by Project Democracy are arguing...
Which, by the way, even liberal publications admit is beyond McCarthyism and admit to destroy free speech and complete made-up crap. Just insane asylum BS.
Absolutely true. But isn't it odd that the president's personal lawyers are arguing in one court that the publication by WikiLeaks violates no law, while his Justice Department and his CIA director are arguing that Assange should be detained and prosecuted? How's that one for inconsistency?
All right, we got to go to calls as promised, but let's just briefly, and I'm going right back to calls, I promise. Here in the Fake News Awards, the People's Choice, whether Trump shows up in an hour and a half or not, we're covering it all live here. That's the bottom line. Spread the links. Record audience tuning in right now on those streams. Record audience this year so far. Getting back to this. Condoleezza Rice, I mean, that shows you how isolated. They admit their main job is to keep your info and my info away from the president. He still sneaks off and calls you sometimes, but I know it's harder and harder to get a hold of him. I mean, Condoleezza Rice, the neocon architect, I mean, I hope this isn't a race card thing he's doing. There are a lot of really qualified black people that could be a national security advisor.
There's no question. But this woman has a horrific war record as a warmonger. And she bears responsibility for the Iraq War. Do you think she voted for Donald Trump? I wouldn't bet on it. She's part and parcel of the Bush family machine.
Why doesn't he bring in Alan West or something? That guy's super smart and a combat vet and everything else.
You know what? They'd be better off with John Bolton. John Bolton may have been a neocon, but that's because he was reflecting the views of his boss.
But he's still fiercely anti-globalist.
And he endorsed and campaigned aggressively for Donald Trump when all the other country club Republicans cut and ran for the high grass. So I think Bolton gets credit for sticking in the fort and standing up for the party nominee. He worked very hard giving surrogate speeches for Trump.
But that's still saying a lot because Bolton's got serious issues. You're right. Compared to Rice, he's better.
Well, I mean, it is like night and day. You're going to have a big turnover here, I think, in the Trump administration. There's going to be a reshuffling of the deck chairs very shortly. It appears that Gary Cohn, for example, the president's economic advisor, is all dressed up with no place to go. It is now believed that McMaster will go to take this, get his 4-star and go to the Korean front.
I was about to say, that's the good news. Even CNN admits in this executive time for 4 hours in the morning, he reads documents, makes phone calls, watches TV, surfs the internet, and then makes decisions himself. So even though they've surrounded him, he still's making most of the decisions. We're going to come right back and go to phone calls. But I think it's time to take a run at the Clintons again and to bring Danny Williams back on. That just hit me. I want to talk about that as well, the whole Me Too fiasco. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Roger Stone normally hosts this hour. I'm co-hosting it with him. He's going to be showing it with us a little bit into the next hour. And we've got Owen Schroyer coming in. Scheduled an hour and a half. The president, an hour and 27 minutes to be precise, is scheduled to do what he's been talking about for several weeks. That is this fake news awards that is just total genius. The president's idea. We were the first to implement it. Rob Dew and Owen right after he talked about it a few months ago. But now it's the president supposedly going to do it. And I know there are arguments if he is going to put the kibosh on it for now, lay low, the whole crap hole comment and all the rest of it. But you got to do what you're going to do. You got to do what you said you'll do. And the media is not going to leave you alone if you don't go after him. They've had Flake come out and say it's authoritarian for the president to stand up for himself when they tell lies. So we're going to be looking at all of that briefly. We had 60-plus products at 50% off. We had more than 10 products at 60% off. Most of those products sold out or got so close to selling out because year-end that we put them back to regular price till more comes in. It may be months till we get some of those best-selling items back in. But we have a whole bunch of our best-selling products that are still at 50% off. And again, that is Survival Shield X Tube, Secret 12, Super Male Vitality. If you scroll down, there's 3 others that are still 50% off there. Caveman is incredible, folks. Next level protein powder with all the key essence of the bones. That's why it's got 2,000 plus reviews, 4.6 review. Caveman is just amazing. InfoWarsLive.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And the new item that I'm not going to belabor because I want to go to your calls, but you should go read about dealing with seasonal issues, with the sinuses, with all the pollen and stuff out there that irritates people so badly. Go read the summary of pollen block and how it is the patented, proven, proprietary secret system developed in France with Japanese quail. They found a long time ago that fed certain diets, they produce a secret food ingredient. So this isn't even in the drug class or the supplement class that has been known to just knock out seasonal discomfort massively. I take Claritin D or Zyrtec D, and it works, but I mean, it's like speed. I can't take it. I turn into a jerk. I'm already like this, just having a cup and a half of coffee today. Okay, I don't need it. So I can't take it. I mean, that's the few times I actually blow up, here at the office or whatever, is when I'm on that or on air. That's not fake when I blow up. I mean, I'm almost always on something for those issues. But pollen block, incredible. And you just got to remember to take it every day during the time there's a lot of dust out there, whatever time of year, different things, types of pollen affect you. And it is amazing. Seasonal discomfort support. And it's 51% off. That's what it came to. $34.95. It's a great deal. $17.76. That's 51% off. Declare independence against all that garbage today and help support the Second American Revolution globally. We're going to calls right now. But just briefly, Roger, looking at what's happening with Trump and looking at his agenda going through and how they just keep attacking and keep getting worse and all the things that are happening and all the things that are going on, what would you say the mood of the globalist is right now as the stock market hits 26,000 and all the rest of this? I mean, that's really how he proves himself is delivering. Black unemployment, the lowest ever. I keep harping on this. Good Lord, this is messianic what's happened.
What I see, Alex, from the deep staters and the establishmentarians is fear. This past week, the president appointed John Berman as the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. That includes New York City, replacing Preet Bharara, one of the most corrupt prosecutors in American history. Now we learn that Senator Gillibrand has blue-slipped Mr. Berman's appointment, which means the president has appointed Berman. Berman can serve for 128 days, and then his nomination either has to be sent to the Senate or withdrawn. Senator Gillibrand has announced her intention to blue slip him, which means through senatorial courtesy, the Senate Judiciary Committee would not hear Berman's nomination. Sadly, Senator Chuck Grassley has announced that he will honor the blue slip. He has not honored a blue slip for some judicial appointments. What is this all about? Well, they say it's about the fact that Berman, at some point in his career, did some legal work for Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank was a large lender to Donald Trump's real estate endeavors. I don't see the conflict, unless, of course, you think that the Russians laundered money through Deutsche Bank, which there's no evidence whatsoever.
Well, that's like saying if I had a bank account with Bank of America in high school, I got rid of it, but I did. It was the first one I got. That somehow decades later I couldn't hire somebody that worked at Bank of America. Meanwhile, the Clintons literally put all their own cronies in, have foreign governments give them money in emails directly for paper play. Like, you give me $2 million, you get this. That's not an issue. Wow. And of course, the Democrats admit they're trying to block all these new appointments to sabotage the Make America Great Again movement.
Now, what's particularly disappointing here is the backstory of what Gillibrand is really doing. The last thing that Chuck Schumer wants is an independent prosecutor in New York City, because a first-year law student could take a list of Chuck Schumer's campaign contributions and the dates of them and the list of his votes in the United States Senate, and you would very quickly see that Chuck Schumer can be bought, and very, very cheaply. There's a direct correlation. So they have always fought to make sure that they have a prosecutor in New York City who's in the tank, who won't look at
So what you're saying is Trump getting an honest actor in there could tip the entire thing of dominoes in the giant globalist nest of people that have invaded the great state of New York and New York City.
Well, what we now know, unfortunately, that Senator McConnell and Senator Grassley say they're going to honor this senatorial hold on Berman's nomination. The president should attack, saying this is a cover-up. They don't want an honest prosecutor like Berman because they have so much to cover up.
Beautifully said.
Truth.
key. This is how we drain the swamp. Trump's trying to get swamp drainers in there. I mean, look at this guy that he brought in at the Federal Trade Commission, a known trust buster. I mean, he's really doing it. Kevin in Canada, you're on the air. Thank you for holding so patiently. Who is your nominee for fake news 2017, my friend?
You remember in 1990s when CNN did those live reports from Iraq, but they were actually...
Yeah, they said Scud missiles were attacking. They were on top of the building in Atlanta.
So to me, pointing out fake news from fake news organizations, it's kind of like pointing out the turd in the toilet bowl. It's much better for self-reflection, and I'd like to give my fake news story. So my fake news story of the year is definitely how you, Alex Jones, supported and dignified Steve Bannon, while at the same time, I don't want to say you were hurting Ivanka or Jared, but definitely you weren't on their side. You were more on Steve Bannon's side. I think that's much more intellectually smart to go down that way and discuss, rather than just discussing fake news. It's been around since God.
Well, sure. I mean, we're saying, though, pointing out mainstream media's lies, but I'm going to say this right now. You were in the running, and I'm kind of going to be I feel like this is third place, at least, the steak knives, because I absolutely, when I'm wrong, I've made a huge deal out of the fact that I got suckered by Bannon and found out he was the big leaker and the really bad guy. And Stone warned me 8 months ago, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to hire you because I don't like infighting. He said, look, it's not infighting. He's the one bringing them all in. He's the bad guy. I've discovered it. And I'm kind of sad that I even got Roger, which I never even do behind the scenes, that he kind of was a team player and we didn't go after Bannon with a look and see. So you're absolutely right. I wouldn't call it like fake news like I tried to lie, but a mistake. You're right. Fake news 2017, Alex Jones' support of Stephen Bannon. Get his name, put him down in the running for the steak knives or the $1,000 prize or whatever. I got to say it, Roger, he's right.
Oh, but in your defense, Alex, Bannon was talking like one of us. He made enormous promises to Trump supporters to bring them into the administration. He ended up delivering on none of them. We know that Breitbart was publishing excellent investigative.
Sure, but I don't make a lot. But you warned me. You warned me. You said, what do we do? This is bad. I'm worried. You were obsessed with it. You brought up Kwok continually. And I thought, are you having a pissing contest with him? Is this what this is? Because I go, and you're like, no. And so I was wrong. So the caller's right. Let's admit, you're the one that smells like a rose in this. So it's true. I put out the fake news that Bannon was a good guy. But you're right. He was doing the right thing on the surface, so he didn't know. So it's not, still, it's a fair thing for the caller. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, I'm going to be co-hosting right into the next hour, though, and Schroyer and others. The president is at this Bob Dole Center Announcement Award. Bob Dole's in a wheelchair. Bob Dole, you say what you want about him. He was a pretty good guy in a lot of ways. Got shot up in Italy and World War II and some of the same ground my dad's dad chewed. So, whatever, Bob Dole. I know you worked for Bob Dole, didn't you? Roger?
Yeah, I was a staff assistant to Senator Bob Dole from 1973 to 1974. I think he's a great American patriot. You notice that after the Republican Party nominated Donald Trump and the Bushes refused to endorse him and headed for the hills,
Dole backed him.
Not only backed him, at his age, he got in an airplane and he was barnstorming across the country for him. He
worked in the system, and when he saw a shot, he got behind it.
He's a great, great patriot. And, he does not have, as you know, the use of his right hand. His arm was shattered by an enemy shell in World War II. He was told that he would never walk again. He was told he would never be able to feed himself.
Technically, he got basically cut in half with a machine gun.
Exactly. He nursed himself back to health, got himself elected to the U.S. House, got himself elected to the U.S. Senate, came to the attention of one Richard M. Nixon, who made him Republican national chairman. He is a great, great patriot.
Well, I agree. Compared to these other people, like you said, you kind of find out with backing Trump who's who, haven't we?
Well, it's nothing like adversity to tell you who your friends are. The Kasicks and the Flakes and the McCains and the Bushes, these people are midgets. Bob Dole is a giant, truly a giant.
And we shouldn't forget, we came within 1 millimeter with the whole fake edited, grab him by the you-know-what deal when the vice president almost dove on him. And I'm not bragging, but you remember you called me and I was like, we're going straight forward here. I mean, because This is a war, folks. We know the globalists don't want our dog in the fight Trump. We back the dog.
Well, you never wavered, Alex. When I remember it very distinctly when I called and told you that the party leaders were talking about convening the Republican National Committee, dumping Trump as the nominee, replacing him with Pence. And you said, if they do that, they will lose. We've got to stick with Trump. This will pass. And within about 48 hours, it did pass.
Which, again, we're going to see hoax after hoax after hoax after hoax after hoax. So just get ready for it. Let's take some more phone calls here with Roger Stone. We're going to take a lot more calls next hour. I kind of not much this hour because it's the first guest we've had today is Roger Stone. And he's had his office invaded by some folks, but that's fine as well. We're going to go to the calls who've been holding the longest here. Mike in North Dakota, you're on the air with Roger Stone. Thanks for holding.
Yes, Alex, thank you. I've been listening since 2010, first time been able to call in, so happy to do so.
Thank you, sir. God bless. What's on your mind?
Okay, I got a few bullet points that key into this point. My nomination is going to all the way back to the beginning when President Trump gave his inaugural speech and his announcement, and the next day it was CNN and then other places picked it up of how all Mexicans were criminals, they're rapists, they're bringing in their worst, they're horrible people. And the reason why this is so important is it's the origin of Trump as a racist. He's not, he's Hitler. All his supporters are Nazis, white nationalists, and all this, which laid the foundation for the liberal, this crazy liberal social hysteria that in turn laid the groundwork and basically validated the radical sect of Black Lives Matter and Antifa when they had all these riots and massive protests and all that, starting when they shut down Trump's speech in Chicago. That caused millions and millions and millions of dollars of damage.
Which, by the way, we have the WikiLeaks. Hillary did fund to then blame Trump and blame Sanders. She had folks dress up like Sanders people. I first learned it from Matt Dubiel, who knows the police, and then Roger Stone. Later, it was all confirmed that, indeed, they staged that. But did Bernie Sanders get mad at Hillary? No, because he just went along with it. It's truly sickening. So I agree. Up there at the top, Russia's huge. But what's been more effective, the whole Russia thing's been fake, is the race thing. You can't really debunk it because it's just made up to begin with. And so, I mean, I agree that the whole Trump is a racist thing is right up there at the top. Let's put you in the running. That's been one of the lowest level calls we've gotten, you know, only 4 or 5 of like 100 we've taken, saying it's the race thing. I think the race thing's right up there with Russia in the fake news. We'll put you on hold. Thank you, Mike. Roger, I mean, for you, what is the biggest fake news the last year? Is it the race-based narrative, or that Trump doesn't want to help the people narrative, you know, that lie? Or is it the Russiagate thing? We know it's all a lie. My God. I mean, you know, I'm not for straight up affirmative action just because, you know, like they're even saying they're going to let Asians now have top grades because, you know, they're Asian. They're getting it all. Asians have the top 9 slots. Most white folks are on the side of the road when it comes to comparatively. But I want to help everybody. But Trump's doing direct investment in mainly black areas because he said he would do it. And you know, he wants to prove that. He wants to break the back of that lie. But where are the black leaders thanking Trump? Well, we know most of the King family is.
Alex, to answer your question, I think the single greatest fake news story of the year is the assertion that Donald Trump was not under surveillance at Trump Tower, that the deep state was not spying on him. We have proven that to be a lie repeatedly. You recall that.
Well, first they said they were surveilling, then they said they never had. Sorry, go ahead.
When our friend Judge Napolitano reported that for Fox, they waited until after 5 o'clock in the LA Times, past the deadline on the East, reported that Napolitano had been fired. And then they said that he had been suspended. Neither thing were true. And to this day, he has never gotten an apology from either Fox or from the LA Times, despite the fact that he's been proven entirely correct. That they did have Donald Trump and his aides, including yours truly, in that story, under surveillance.
Oh, they said
and
you were the kingpin of it. And then a day later, they said they never said it. So let me ask you this question. What is our legal recourse? I don't want to just sue people, but, you know, when you're watching congressional hearings, I used to tell you a year ago, oh, stop it, it's a joke. But once they were saying I was a Russian spy, I flipped out. because I know it's not true, and it's incredible. And then they're the ones on the Uranium One payroll.
No, this has been the chutzpah award should be given to these people, because time and time again, what they have accused us of is exactly what they are doing. I still believe today the single greatest threat that we face is the effort by the tech giants, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, to try to limit our ability to communicate with the legions of the president.
That's beyond fake news. That's the end of news. That is the great censorship that we're going to cover next hour. And again, Trump is still at the Bob Dole event. Do you think he's going chumping the media, trolling him? He's going to go to the White House? Is he going to do a live feed? What's going to happen in an hour?
The only thing that's predictable about Donald Trump is that he is entirely unpredictable.
I know that, but let's put your money on it. You got to place your bet right now, Roger Stone. 90% of the time he delivers on what he says. He's already moved this once, though, telling me he wants a bunch of production done that hadn't been done. Maybe he's being sabotaged. Maybe there's a national security crisis. Other than that, you know him. I mean, why wouldn't he deliver? They're going to say he choked.
Well, he also understands the news cycle, so maybe he's stretching this out to get several stories. I can't wait until he presents the very first tapper. That's what they're calling the fake news award. The little statuette, it's called a tapper.
Oh, wait, you were told that?
I heard somebody say that at the White House, yeah. Now, I don't know if it was facetious or whether it was real, but it's a pretty damn good idea.
I blur on air, off air, then I want to be careful that I don't say something that's secret. But you specifically talked to an individual where the president said, my hands are tied, but you don't want to say who it was. But I mean, the president directly said, my hands are tied, meaning they're saying, look, we're all going to get blown up and killed, even though we're spying on you, if you don't let us do this.
Well, the person that told me this facetiously said, well, they probably showed him a video of John Kennedy being killed. Unfortunately, that's not that far from the truth, in the sense that we've had two coups in this country. One was a political coup, 1974. The other one was a violent coup, 1963. And I do think that the enmity of the establishment for Trump is such. You see lunatics advocating his assassination on Twitter every single day. Would the deep state stoop to that? They've done it before.
Hell, Mud says they're going to kill him. All right. I don't know if you're coming up the next hour. Check your schedule, but we're going to come back. I'm going to continue hosting with Owen Schroyer and the rest of the great career, Roger Stone, you name it, straight ahead. Tomorrow's News Today. This is the People's Choice Fake News Awards. With your calls, I will finish these 7 or 8 callers right now, and then we're going to see if the president shows up or not. If not, we just roll forward with the awards. Spread the word.